Good morning. Good morning. Happy Wednesday, December 1st. Hope you were up and at 'em this morning, ready to go. Chilly morning, but going to be a beautiful, beautiful day. So hope you are up and ready to roll at 6:05 on a Wednesday morning, December the 1st, 2021. The countdown, my son was telling me yesterday as we were heading to basketball practice, the countdown is on until 2022. I made some comment about, yeah, next year, I think we were talking about the Christmas tree or something. And I made the comment of like, yeah, next year we'll do it different. He's like, well, Dad, next year is in about 30 days. It's like, well, 31, 32, depending on how you want to look at it. But good point. So we turn the calendar.
What are you guys doing for New Year's?
For New Year, I really have not decided. I've not thought that far ahead. Some of it's going to be dependent upon the bowl game South Carolina goes to. We'll get into that. Some more news in the coaching carousel. We'll get into that. South Carolina and Coastal Carolina tonight. Much of a surprise last night. Oklahoma State jumping Notre Dame. Maybe the most interesting thing last night was the fact that the College Football Playoff Committee did basically kind of admit, hey, having your head coach is kind of a pretty big part of being in the college football playoff. Sorry, Notre Dame, you might be moving further to the back of the pack here as we continue to go forward. So we'll kind of monitor that, but a lot to get into this morning.
Is that right? Would you take it into consideration if you were in the room? Would you say, these guys don't even have a coach?
It's a great question because do you punish the play? Like, yeah, I mean, the answer is
he got announced as LSU coach yesterday. I mean, I saw LSU announce that he changed his bio. Was he in Baton Rouge yesterday?
I haven't seen an official press conference, if that's what you're asking. I've seen a video. But I have not seen an official.
Lincoln Riley hasn't had a press conference
yet.
Yeah, he has had a press conference.
Lincoln had a press conference Monday.
I saw him get off the plane, and then I saw that he was doing media yesterday.
Yeah.
He Lincoln did his press conference on Monday. Did it about 3:00, and so he is off and running. But no, to answer your question, I did not or have not seen a press conference. Did not see it, at least yesterday, from Brian Kelly. Didn't see any articles about it, any quotes or anything.
Press conference looks like slated for Wednesday.
That would be today.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
right. So there we go.
Just according to Shay Dixon of 24/7 Sports.
But no time yet on that.
I don't see it.
Looks like they were just expecting. All right, so you've got that. So we'll get into it. Miami is kind of an interesting situation right now. It appears they want to make a coaching move, but they only want to make a coaching move if the coach they want is going to come. They're not going to just fire Manny Diaz, go knee deep into the coaching carousel pool, only to find out that the coaches they want are not obtainable either financially or they don't want to leave. So it's going to be very interesting to see what Miami does. Virginia Tech concludes their coaching search not long after we wrapped up our program. We kind of mentioned it at the very end, Patrick. Brent Pry, the defensive coordinator at Penn State, takes that job. I'm a little surprised. That that's the guy they end up settling on. I really thought Jamie Chadwell would have a chance to be more in the mix for that job, but he ends up not being in the mix at all. And it looks like unless there's a change somewhere and Chadwell just feels the need, he'll end up staying at Coastal Carolina for another year with Grayson McCall.
What did you know about Brent Pry before yesterday?
Nothing.
I had never heard of his name before yesterday.
Absolutely nothing.
51 years old, from Altoona, Pennsylvania. Basically it.
Yeah.
His resume is not that impressive. He became the Penn State defensive coordinator in 2016 and was never really anywhere big before that. He was in Vanderbilt. So I guess I don't know what to make of that at all.
That was maybe the big news yesterday. Yesterday compared, of course, I don't know what you could have used to top Monday, but yesterday a quiet day on the coaching forefront. Oklahoma, I did continue to monitor throughout the day the OU Insider website. Parker Thune, I believe, is who we have decided how we're going to pronounce his last name, as our lead go-to guy there for OU Insider. He continuing to report essentially that Brent Venables will be the next head coach at Oklahoma. His most recent update stating that basically they are now working through the red tape of contracts. They are working through the red tape of just attorneys, all those little fun things, and he did not have an updated time frame. Now, Brent Venables, if you followed Twitter last night, was in Kansas and was traveling around with Dabo Swinney doing recruiting. So, not that I expect Brent Venables to just stop what he's doing and be like, look, I'm going to another job. Dabo, you're on your own. But again, OU insider Parker Thune continuing to report that Brent Venables will be the next coach at Oklahoma. Jeff Lebby, the current offensive coordinator at Mississippi, is the guy he's also reporting would be Brent Venables' offensive coordinator at Oklahoma. So we'll continue to monitor that situation and see.
Was he in Texas yesterday? Is that where they were?
He was, I believe, Kansas. I thought I saw Kansas. There's a linebacker they have committed that I think
I just typed in Brent Venables on Twitter and it says Hayes High School. And I typed in Hayes High School. There's probably multiple Hayes High Schools, but the first one that came up was Kyle, Texas.
Okay. Yeah. No, I believe he was. I believe he was there. So that was, again, nothing drastic.
You could just drive. I mean, he's in that territory right now. You could just drive to Oklahoma from there.
Yeah, I like.
Isn't Kansas right above Oklahoma? Or no, Missouri?
Oh, it's too early to do geography.
I think Kansas is right above Missouri.
It's way too early for It's way too early for math. It's way too early for geography as well. Thank you for that.
Kansas is right above Oklahoma.
Good job. Look at you. You're on it. You're on it. You're wide awake. You got an energy drink.
No, it's a green tea.
Okay, your green tea and a coffee. Patrick's ready to go this morning. 803-404-6100. That's how you can join us this morning. Love Chevy phone lines or the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. As always, you can join us on the Buford Lending live stream, as several people already up and ready to go. DC, our buddy Jim Corley, who points out Clemson back in the top 20. They are number 20 yesterday in the newest edition of the college football playoff rankings. Dakar, Robin, Anthony, Logan, and DC already said him. All up and ready to go. So we'll get into the transfer portal today. Again, the coaching carousel, South Carolina, Coastal Carolina tonight. Plenty of things that we will continue to roll on to. 803-404-6100. Let's go out to the Love Chevy phone lines. And Michael is up first here this morning. Michael, how you doing? What's on your mind?
How are y'all doing this morning?
Doing good.
All right. That's good to hear. With all these coaches just going all over the place, I want to get y'all's thoughts on Kelly at LSU and how quickly y'all think he can get that program up and running to back to national prominence. Because if I'm not mistaken, they may have some self-sanctioned penalties coming from Orgeron, and or the NCAA might be sanctioning them from the Orgeron era. I'm not quite sure on that one. Also, what's the latest on Venables and him moving to Oklahoma? Is that a sure thing? Because that would definitely help Carolina in terms of recruiting in-state.
Yeah, appreciate the phone call, Michael. The only thing that we can really report is that Parker Thune, again, with OUinsider.com, which is part of the 24/7 Sports Network, his update last night from 9:30 Eastern Time, 8:30 Central Time, said that he would like to give an exact timeline for the announcement, but he can't. I do like this line because this is very true. He says, keep in mind, this is uncharted territory for essentially all of us. Oklahoma has not had a coaching search in the sport of football this millennium. He did go on to say that things are taking time and that they are working with an agreement, contract red tape, and attorneys, figures and terms to get everything worked out. In essence, there's no cut and dried answer as to when we may have an official word from the university. That is from Parker Thune of OUinsider.com on the 24/7 Sports rival 24/7 Sports Network there. So, again, that is the guy that, at least at this point, Patrick, I'm kind of following regarding Brent
Cam
Venables.
Marino tweeted the Sooners are expected to finalize an agreement with their head coach in 24 to 72 hours. Source relays that Brent Venables is 1A.
So
I mean, he wouldn't say no, right? If he does, he just has no aspirations, right?
I would assume you're not gonna.
Who would ever be nobody that's competitive enough to be one of the best defensive coordinators in college football just has their dreams of only being that, right?
I don't know all of his family dynamic. Obviously, 2 of his kids there are at Clemson. There's incredible job security there. Depending on how much money. Depending on how much money. I don't know, Patrick.
Who's the greatest coordinator in college football history? Is there anyone that stands out as like a 50-year coordinator, was always the greatest coordinator, but never decided to try and become a head coach?
Bud Foster and did Mickey Andrews. I feel like Mickey Andrews is going to be up there with do you know who Mickey Andrews is when I say that name?
No.
All right, Mickey Andrews, I think, would have to be up there. He was the defensive coordinator for 26 years at Florida State under Bobby Bowden. So he was the defensive guy for Bobby Bowden from 1984 to 2009. I was looking to see if he ever became a head coach. I did not realize this. Mickey Andrews was a defensive coordinator for Clemson from 1977 to 1980. I'm sure our buddy Jim Corley knew that, should have gotten on that one. But Mickey Andrews would have to be up there. He was obviously a part of all those great Florida State seasons, Patrick. And then you probably say Bud Foster. I would assume those 2.
I mean, was Bud Foster being sought after as a head coach?
Yeah.
At big jobs?
Mm-hmm. I believe so. I mean, a little prior to my time. Again,
it just seems like Venables is so renowned. What else could he possibly hope to accomplish at Clemson? He needs to at some point start getting credit. And I mean, everybody knows he's a good coordinator, but his name is not under the head coach as a Clemson coach. Or like we know, and Clemson fans know, and everybody appreciates it. But you got to have some of the glory for yourself. And these guys all have egos. All football players and coaches have egos and want to be able to prove that they could do it themselves. And if he goes to Oklahoma and creates that thing to a winner and Clemson starts going downhill, then people will start saying that Brent Venables was one of the keys to Clemson's success. And that'll be great for his legacy. And everybody wants a legacy, right?
Well, I think people are already saying that to a pretty big level there, that he is a massive key to Clemson's success. I don't think that's what
but we are, because we follow it closely. But I mean, my dad, who is a casual college football fan, will watch Maryland and watch whatever big SEC game there is. I bet he doesn't know who the defensive coordinator at Clemson is.
Maybe not.
We live in a college football hotbed, but like a random fan, anybody that watches college football at all knows Dabo Swinney. Not everybody knows Brent Venables or how important Brent Venables is to the Clemson dynasty. They just look and they say, "Oh, Nick Saban, Dabo Swinney."
Possibly, but he's been there for a while. It's not like Nick Saban where he basically runs coordinators in and out. We'll see. I think the point for me is if he doesn't take the Oklahoma job, he's never going to go to the NFL. That he doesn't strike me as an NFL guy. What's the job that he would ever take? This is as big a job, and there's as many ties to this job as there's ever going to be with relationships, former friends or current friends that he worked under or worked with. He's got players out there that are supporting him. So we'll see. That's that. Now, the other question he asked, and you're a little bit more familiar with the behind the scenes of LSU. I'll say this. How long will it take Brian Kelly to get LSU up and running? And we'll talk about that. We'll talk about this morning because we've got a good question. We've got a couple good questions. DC weighs in on the Buford Lending live stream and says, isn't it dang near impossible to bring in a good transfer quarterback if we retained one of the worst offense coordinators in the country? Quarterback, I think is the biggest thing. And you look at South Carolina, and we had Perry Orthone yesterday, and he pointed out 11 quarterbacks have started a game. 11 have started a game since Steve Spurrier's final season in Columbia when Connor Mitch got the start against North Carolina. 2015 was that year. And Patrick, let's go back to Brian Kelly for just a minute. LSU getting that thing up and running. There's no question there's talent across the board. They've got really good football players, but you got to have a quarterback. LSU and Ed Orgeron won a national championship because of Joe Burrow. He had incredible wide receivers, but Joe Burrow made that thing hum. Can Max Johnson be the quarterback that Brian Kelly needs to get that thing going?
No, but I think he can find one. I mean, I just don't. I don't think it's that important. I mean, the winningest quarterback at Notre Dame is Ian Book. LSU could find an Ian Book. Ian Books are everywhere in college football. It's just Joe Burrow had the greatest season of all time. So that's a little bit different. I mean, Matt Flynn won a national championship with them. I can't remember though. I think it was Jarrett Lee and Jordan Jefferson maybe was the combo that won another national championship for Les Miles. So no, I mean, I don't think it's going to be that hard to find a quarterback. He's not going to probably come from the state of Louisiana, but that's going to be Brian Kelly's job is just keep the kids in Louisiana. You'll have a championship caliber core and find yourself a quarterback. Quarterbacks will want to go play for him. I mean, it was Les Miles that was the reason that no quarterbacks ever wanted to come to LSU because they would all stink. So they had Anthony Jennings and Brandon Harris and guys that were just super mediocre. I don't think it's going to take long. I think they'll get their footing this year, kind of set up the foundation of the program and what they're going to build off of. They'll probably be a eight or so win team next year, maybe an 8 to 10 win team next year, and then after that they'll be able to go for it year in and year out.
I I'll kind of agree with you on that. I think I'm looking real quick. You just look ahead to 2022, and now we already start to look ahead to schedules and just seeing what exactly LSU will end up looking like in 2022. You know who LSU, and I kind of just gave it away. You know who LSU opens the season with? Sunday, September 4th at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in New Orleans, Louisiana. It's a big name ACC opponent. Florida State and LSU will be our Labor Day night game. Follow that one along. They will also play Southern. Mississippi State will come to Baton Rouge, New Mexico, at Auburn. LSU does play Tennessee and Josh Heupel next year at Florida, Mississippi on October 22nd. They got an off week, and then Alabama, Arkansas, UAB, and Texas A&M. 10 wins I don't think is unreasonable next year, but you're right. A lot of things. Now, how quickly can they get back to the top? Who do you think gets back quicker? Who do you think gets to a playoff quicker? I know whose road is easier, but who gets back to a college football playoff? Doesn't win it, but just gets to the college football playoff quicker. Southern Cal or LSU?
Why don't we just do all four of the teams?
Well, we will.
Oklahoma, Notre Dame, Southern Cal, LSU. Right, I would say LSU.
You think it's going to be LSU? All right, we'll put that.
We did see, by the way, the commitment yesterday. The kid that decommitted from Oklahoma, the 5-star quarterback, he's already committed to Southern Cal. I can't remember what the kid's name is, but he's from Orange, California. And
Malachi Nelson. Thank you.
Already committed to Southern Cal. So they will have a quarterback every single year. I just think there's something about the West Coast teams that they just can't build. They just can't build the interior lines either side. They can't build on either offense or defensive line to compete with everyone else. Maybe I can see Southern Cal doing the exact same thing as Oklahoma and winning out and just getting blown out in the playoff. I could probably see an 11-1 or 12-0 Southern Cal team making the 4th seed of the playoff and losing to Alabama by 35 points before LSU making it. But I still think LSU is going to have the more competitive team. I don't think Lincoln Riley will make Southern Cal any substantially better than Oklahoma was.
Put that out on the poll. We'll put up a poll question this morning if you want to weigh in. 803-404-6100. Again, you can do so. Cool Care Heating and Air text line or the Love Chevy phone lines. Again, you can follow us along on the Buford Lending live stream. We'll get into a little bowl talk. Robin asks if there's a rumor out there that South Carolina and Clemson in the Tax Slayer Bowl. I think both have been projected there. There was, I believe, Sporting News projected South Carolina there yesterday. There's some projections for Clemson to the Gator Bowl. I haven't seen anything where they are projected to play each other in the Gator Bowl. And then Logan asks, is there a chance for Spencer Rattler to come to South Carolina? Would you guys want him? We'll get into those questions and more. If you want to weigh in, 803-404-6100. We'll talk about the quarterback and the offensive coordinator situation for South Carolina as well. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
This is Gamecock basketball head coach Frank Martin, and you're listening to 107.5 The Game, WNKT FM, Eastover, Columbia.
So just after the hires of Brian Kelly and Lincoln Riley, which team will make the college football playoff first?
Yeah, I'd just say which
Southern Cal
team do you, Oklahoma, Southern Cal, Florida, or LSU?
You want all 4?
Yeah, just go all
Okay.
4. Yeah.
Wait. There's 5. There's Southern Cal, LSU, Notre Dame, Oklahoma,
Well, but
and
we don't
Florida.
know Notre Dame's coach yet. I'd just go with the 4 who we know.
We don't know Oklahoma's coach.
Well, let's go with the 3. That's a good point. Well, I feel like we know Brent Venables.
We can go head to head.
Huh?
We can just go head to head, LSU and Southern Cal.
Either one. Because that's where I was going, and you threw the 4 out.
I can say Brian Kelly, Lincoln Riley, Billy Napier, and presumably, reportedly, Brent Venables.
Oh. Sorry, there's a conversation going on about the elf on the shelf at the house. Sorry.
What?
The elf on the shelf. I moved it this morning.
All right, how many options do you want, Bill? 2, 3, or 4?
I said go 4.
All right. After the hires of Brian Kelly, Riley.
Sorry. I'm trying to get kids out of the house, and off to school, and navigating elf on the shelf with a sheet wearing.
All right, it's out.
All right, you got it out?
Yeah.
All right, remind me to talk to you after the show. It is. 803-404-6100, that time of year. Elf on the Shelf is back. Yeah, the elf. Is your elf back in your house? Did you get the elves? The kids? Have the elves come back yet?
Is that a new thing? Or is this like decades old?
Yeah, the elves have just recently, to my knowledge, within the last decade, started coming to the houses to monitor the kids and do all that fun stuff. So I didn't have an elf when I was growing up that monitored me. I was allowed to be as bad as I want to be. So kids, as you're heading to school this morning, you need to be good. The elf is watching you, whatever your elf's name is. Also, back in town, Trans-Siberian Orchestra, back in town Wednesday, December 8th at Colonial Life Arena. A portion of every ticket sold will benefit Family Promise of the Midlands, a charity that aims to help families experiencing homelessness in their quest to achieve sustainable independence. Tickets are on sale now. Go to Ticketmaster.com. Again, Wednesday, December 8th, a week from today, Trans-Siberian Orchestra. Tickets are on sale. You can go to Ticketmaster.com. A portion of the proceeds will benefit Family Promise of the Midlands, a charity that aims to help families experiencing homelessness in their quest to achieve sustainable independence. 803-404-6100. Patrick Perrette has the poll question up. Patrick, what is our poll question of the day?
All right. We went with, after the hires of Brian Kelly, Lincoln Riley, Billy Napier, and reportedly Brent Venables, which program will make a college football playoff first? So your choices are LSU, Southern Cal, Florida, or Oklahoma. And the early results are tied with Southern Cal and Oklahoma. People don't believe in LSU and Florida right now. Or maybe people don't believe in Billy Napier. Or Brian Kelly.
Are you surprised about that with an S? See, here's what I feel like you're
no one has voted for LSU yet.
Oklahoma, I guess I'm thinking here, and you've got an all-day poll question up here, 23 hours on this.
Right up until tomorrow's morning show.
I'm thinking tomorrow morning, if we go back and look at this poll question, I'm thinking that more people will look at the path of Southern Cal and what is it? I don't right now I have no clue what the future holds for Oklahoma, not just with hiring a coach, but for when they get into the SEC. And then what their SEC schedule looks like. If it is in the division with Alabama, with Texas A&M, throw LSU now back into that mix. Because I got to admit, if you were ranking them, and let's do this, and if you want to do it, you can weigh in 803-404-6100. We got the poll question out there. Again, go to @_Patrick Perrette to vote after the hires of Brian Kelly, Lincoln Riley, Billy Napier, and reportedly Brent Venables, which program will make a college football playoff first, LSU, Southern Cal, Florida, or Oklahoma. I'll vote on this. I'm going to go with what I think is the easy answer. I'm going to vote Southern Cal, Patrick, and here's where I was going to go with this. If you and I were to rank these four teams in order, I would go Southern Cal, I would go LSU, I would go probably Florida because of the right now what I know to be true, which is the divisions, the Eastern Division, and then I would go Oklahoma. So I would have Southern Cal because I think their path with Lincoln Riley, he's going to recruit really well. The question for Lincoln Riley will be, what can he do on the offense and defensive line? You kind of mentioned that with Southern Cal and the struggles they've had building up offense and defensive lines there, Oklahoma building up offense and defensive lines under Lincoln Riley and Norman. Southern Cal's had the same exact issue out in Los Angeles. What can Lincoln Riley do there? But I still think he'll be able to get enough and recruit enough and run an offense and a team and a program that will move to the forefront. Southern Cal, and I was listening yesterday to a national program, and I don't know if you'll agree with this, Southern Cal could be the Clemson of the West Coast, with a conference you can absolutely dominate year in, year out, like Clemson does, have a cakewalk to the college football playoff, and then see what happens when you get to the college football playoff.
Why has there not been any good teams out of the West Coast in a decade, though?
That's a good question.
There has to be a larger reason for it. Like, I just can't. Why is Lincoln Riley going to break the mold? I just don't. I don't see why it would happen. What is it? Kids don't want to be in the West Coast. Or is it because they're all vegans on the West Coast and they can't build big, strong kids? It's like any of these rumors. Like, I don't understand it. But there's something there. It's going to take a long time to completely shift the culture and get people back on the West Coast. It'll be easy to get the random 5-star quarterback. Like, if Lincoln Riley was there, maybe Bryce Young goes to Southern Cal, maybe Ryan Helinski or DJ Uiagalelei would have stayed in California. But to build the whole program, like, that's always been the problem. There's always a couple, like Oregon. Oregon has a freak edge rusher, Kayvon Thibodeau, but
Right.
Penei Sewell was a monster last year. Like, there's always these random guys, but in large part, the Lions are just not very good, and their teams are just not that strong top to bottom, and I don't know the reason, but I don't think that it's gonna just change because of Lincoln Riley's there. He's not I don't think he's that guy. I just think he's just a whiz kid on a whiteboard that can draw up a good offense and score a lot of points, but why would he have a defense that could compete with Alabama or LSU? Why would Alabama and LSU not just run all over Southern Cal when they meet in the playoffs?
That's why, again, the question is not who wins a championship, and who gets to the college football playoff. And I think part of this is you look at in the past, and you mentioned it, the West Coast kids that have started to make their way east and play for Clemson, play for Alabama, play for other schools. I mean, the guy who was just drafted, second running back, 2 running backs last year, but the first running back drafted in the NFL draft last year. You know this. First running back drafted last year in the NFL draft. Come on, Patrick. This is where you shine. This is where you step up with.
They were all bad last year.
The first running back drafted last year in the NFL draft, 2021. He's a rookie this year. Najee Harris. The guy for Alabama that was really good.
Any of them anymore.
Well, the point being is he's from Martinez, California.
Antioch.
He's from Martinez. You get these kids, they're coming. One thing that Lincoln Riley has to do is create, as he said in his press conference on Monday, the mecca of college football. You've got to get kids that want to come and play in a great environment. And you ask, Oregon, it's a good environment. That's a lot of fun for a big game, or it looks like it's a lot of fun, I guess I should say, on television. I've never actually been out there.
But we also only watch them when they're in big games.
Well, that's my point. Southern Cal, that stadium, if it's not a massive game, it doesn't look like a great environment at all. Say what you want, Alabama, even when they host a Southern Mississippi or a Kent State or whomever, and they beat them 74-0. The environment, at least to start the game, is still incredible. It's still packed out to the brim. Yeah, people might leave at halftime. You get kids over.
Yeah, but you think about the kid that's watching the game. He said, "Oh my goodness, this is incredible!" And then by the point that all the fans leave, he's just so amazed by how good the team is. Anyway, he's not worried about the fans in the crowd.
RL asks, "Is it a bit of a bias from the college football playoff committee?" No, I just the teams they haven't been good enough.
Several of them made it. Is Washington the only one that's made it?
Oregon was in the first one. Oregon was in the very first one against it was Ohio State beat Alabama and Oregon beat Florida State. It was the matchup of the Heisman winners, Jameis Winston and Marcus Mariota. 803-404-6100. Travis weighs in.
The one that Jameis won?
No, it was the one
Auburn.
No. Jameis played the next year. They played in the Rose Bowl.
The semifinal.
And I think it was Mariota. Mariota won the Heisman that year, and you had Jameis first Mariota. Travis weighs in on the poll question. He says, USC West is my vote. Just so many resources. It's ridiculous. No coach lately has had them to back them up to be a powerhouse. 803-404-6100 is how you can join us. Again, that poll question is out. You can go to the Twitter account and check that out. Again, who do you think makes the college football playoff first? The college football not wins a championship. Totally different question there. LSU, Oklahoma, Southern Cal, or Florida. We'll continue to check the poll questions there throughout the day. One other interesting thing that's just kind of developing is the situation at Miami. The Miami insiders insinuating yesterday, basically telling their message board, faithful fans, subscribers, whatever, be patient. Miami's going to do their due diligence, and it looks like they're focusing on Mario Cristobal, who Friday night will have Oregon in a rematch with Utah in the Pac-12 championship game. Patrick, it's going to be interesting because I'm from the era where Miami was absolutely incredible. You saw the early 2000s. I still would love to see Lane Kiffin down in Coral Gables. That, to me, would be a lot of fun to see him down there running around on South Beach and doing who knows what and tweeting who knows what. But it appears Miami is going to target Mario Cristobal and kick the tires on him. And if he's interested, you're going to see Manny Diaz out the door. And if he's not, maybe they move on to Lane Kiffin. But Manny Diaz is not getting the pink slip until the next Miami head football coach is basically a done deal.
I don't know enough about the inner workings of Miami. All I know is that apparently their stadium is a nightmare to get to from campus. But you've talked on this show about the issues with the university not helping out. So with that in mind, and just also in mind how mediocre the program is right now, that would be a step down for both Lane Kiffin and Mario Cristobal, right? And is Miami even going to pay them more?
For a Cristobal, it's going back home. I think that's part of it. If he wants to go back home, and can they pay him more? Look,
but
we
at a
saw,
certain point, we've seen coaches have this opportunity and decide to stay with the school that they're with, right?
Well,
Wasn't that the whole story with Bobby Bowden?
Back in the day, yeah. It's different now. I think Willie Taggart was at Oregon for 1 year prior to Mario Cristobal, saw the chance to basically go back to the Southeast and go to Florida State, go back home, and obviously it didn't go well. Would Mario Cristobal see kind of the same thing and a chance to go and revive the program there at Miami? I think that would be very entertaining. I'd be more of a Lane Kiffin guy there. I'd like to see,
like, what is it going to take to revive the program now? If you're explain what the issue is at Miami right now. What's the issue with administration?
If they've got to be willing to support. Miami is a private institution that basically I think the sports fan views Miami as a rough around the edges school because of what we've seen from the football programs, right? Yeah. Because of what we've seen from 30s in the U. Miami's actually a very good academic institution. Has it
changed since then, or it's always been that way and they just happen to have that reputation?
I believe it's always been that way. I actually want to see their enrollment right now.
I know that it's hard to get into because just looking at colleges, I looked at Miami's qualification things, and it's like you need to have a very good GPA and very good SAT scores.
Let me see.
Their acceptance rate isn't super high, but I agree. But that's the problem? Notre Dame is hard to get into. They recruit 5 stars all the time.
Well, recruiting has not really been the problem for Miami. It's been coaching. It's been losing. Yeah, the enrollment for the University of Miami, Florida is 17,000 students. By comparison, the enrollment for the University of Miami of Ohio, which was the first one that popped up, is 19,000 students. It's considered more of an academic type school, and quite frankly, the president there has been a little bit more of a just by comparison, real quick too. Miami, I'm looking at, just breaks it down as I type this into the Google machine. University of Miami in Coral Gables, University of Miami, Florida, 17,000 students. The University of Florida, 52,000 students. Florida International, and this is a 2015 number that it's giving me because it says it out next to it, 55,000 students. Miami's considered a little bit more of an
Central
academic
Florida
institution.
Has a million students too.
They do. A lot of commuter students. I've been there. 803-404-6100. That's how you can join us this morning. Eddie sends us just a question. He says, is this true? It was a tweet last night from a guy
with 200 followers.
With 223. Yeah, unfortunately, that's a John Dixon. He labels himself an OU insider. He also tells us that he's a single dad with 4 kids in his Twitter bio. No. I mean, Eddie, look, anything in this day and age.
Shane Beamer, 7 years, $80 million. Buyout expected in the $5 to $10 million range.
Yeah, I mean, if you can't trust this guy.
It's not a big buyout for an $80 million contract either.
Who knows who you can trust at this point. Newberry Chris asked this morning, will there be realignment in the East and the West? If so, what will it be? I think he's referring to the SEC. We don't know. That's another great question with Oklahoma and Texas coming into the conference in the coming years here. I have become in favor of the pod system, of going to the 4-team pod system, and then I don't really care the way if this college football playoff plays out as we expect, an expansion and 8 or 12 teams. Winning the conference championship is going to be, or winning the overall conference championship is going to be great for you, but you're not going to need that, like say this weekend, to get into the college football playoff. The pod system where you can play everybody, I think, will work, but who knows? Newberry, Chris, that's a great question. 803-404-6100. Again, our poll question on Twitter is, who do you think makes the college football playoff first? Oklahoma, Southern Cal, Florida, or LSU? Gene weighs in. Lincoln Riley and recruiting will get the Trojans to the playoff first. If you want to weigh in, you can do that. 803-404-6100. That's how you can join myself, Patrick Perrette, Jen Jensen. It's a Wednesday morning here at 107.5 The Game, and you are lucky enough to be listening to the early game.
College football playoffs are here.
From the Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center. Good grief. After AAA, unless you want to do it coming back in, however you prefer. I think that's good.
To Oklahoma is what we think. Yeah, we got a little live stream, so we're always working now. Good seeing you. Take care.
Have a good one.
Yes, ma'am. I got to get on down there.
Oh, yay.
Yeah. Take care.
Rock on, you too.
It is that time of the year. Family probably coming over, hanging out, having Christmas parties. You're probably going to have more people in your house than usual. Would y'all agree? Is this the time of year you have more people in your house than usual? December? Is that fair?
I think
Thanksgiving,
so.
I thought.
And
Was it-
summertime.
Summertime? Well, no, you can't say in summertime. Like it's summertime encompasses like 3 months. Like is Christmas? Is this month? This is the month where it feels like more people probably
All
come
month,
through your
people
house.
are just coming in and out.
You've seen on the live streams, my house, so people were coming in and out randomly
yeah.
to begin with. Well, that's why you need to keep your house clean. That's why you need to use Zero Res with the patented ZR water technology. It uses high pH or electrolyzed water, not harsh chemicals. No sticky, soapy residue will be left behind. So good that has its own name, ZR Water. The technology, absolutely incredible, scientifically proven to get your carpet, rugs, tile, and upholstery insanely clean. I can't recommend the pros at Zero Res enough. Give them a phone call today, 803-262-4020. You can book online, ZeroResColumbia.com. Right now, get 3 rooms of carpet clean for only $119 when you mention me, Bill Gunner, at 107.5 The Game. Again, right now, 3 rooms of carpet clean for only $119 when you mention me, Bill Gunner, at 107.5 The Game. That phone number again, 803-262-4020, or you can book online, ZeroResColumbia.com. Zero Res, spell it backwards or forwards. It's the right way to clean. 803-404-6100. Coming up next hour, we'll get into a little bit of discussion, Patrick. Quarterbacks, South Carolina, because a lot of people are all over this Spencer Rattler situation. I said yesterday, I don't see any way he comes to South Carolina. I think most of the recruiting geeks, nerds that I've talked to think he's going back out to the West Coast. Either he's going home to play in the state of Arizona.
You saw the Bet Online odds?
No, I've not seen. I've seen the ESPN ones is what everybody's
plus 200 Ole Miss, plus 250 South Carolina.
Yeah, people, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe something's going on behind the scenes that nobody knows about. We'll find out. We'll talk about the quarterback situation. We'll continue on with the coaching carousel. There's a poll question up at Patrick's Twitter account. So we are rolling along on a Wednesday morning, the first day of December. Oh, I'm looking up at some Christmas pancakes. Those look delicious. Christmas donuts and pancakes. That's how you should start your December. It's the early game. 107.5 The Game.
Gamecocks, Braves, the NFL with live local radio. 107.5 The Game, WNKT FM, Eastover, Columbia. A Cumulus Media.
Go.
Yeah, Robin, I'm sorry. Yeah, the bowl game. Sporting News projected South Carolina to, let's look here. She was getting the kids ready for school. Okay, sportingnews.com does not go to where you would think it does. Or maybe I just mistyped it. I saw where Sporting News had South Carolina projected, but I forget who they had projected because I don't think South Carolina's going to the Gator Bowl. Here we go. Bowl projections for championship week. So this came out yesterday. Let's see here. Gator Bowl. Oh, wow. Okay. Sporting News had South Carolina versus Clemson in the Gator Bowl. That's a bad prediction. Yeah, that's not going to happen. Nobody wants that again. So, yeah, Sporting News. I didn't realize that. I thought you meant South. I didn't realize that. And then you've got CBS has got and Duke lost last night. I cut it off. Duke was rolling, and they were up 13 at halftime. Let's see here. Is this Dr. Jerry Palm? Yeah, Dr. Jerry Palm, CBS, has got South Carolina in the Duke's Mayo Bowl against Virginia. I don't know if we'd want that.
road. The right lane is.
Jeez, do you know how much the how much NFL coaches make? The highest paid NFL coaches are making?
It's not a crazy amount.
It's a pretty crazy amount.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
What is it?
Apparently, Bill Belichick is over $20 million a year.
Oh my goodness.
Well, good for him. Maybe he can go buy some sleeves.
Yeah, that was absolutely crazy. I feel like Jen, I've always got to keep my headphones in case you want to talk to me. I felt like
No, I know we've got to figure out that system. No, I was just saying that with Belichick, maybe he can go buy some sleeves.
What?
Is one of the speakers off or something?
What do you mean the speakers?
Like, we normally hear her in the studio.
Yeah, well, no, she doesn't have it on preview or whatever. And there'd be an echo if I turn mine on, right?
Can you hear me better now?
Yeah.
I mean, I can hear you.
No,
Okay, how about now? Can you hear me?
Oh, it's coming out of the laptop now.
Yeah. But I don't know if there'll
Okay.
be an echo now.
Probably.
Echo.
Well,
Test,
when there's two
test.
laptops, there definitely will be.
Well, there's only.
Well, now we're turning.
Okay. So once upon a time, there were 3 bears. I could start with the limerick. But I can't hear you guys if you're talking.
You can hear. You should be able to hear us. Yeah.
Can
See,
you
I
say
don't hear an
something
echo
now?
on my computer now. So I'm assuming like RL, Robin, Craig, they don't hear a echo.
Okay. So if I didn't think at one time it was working for me to go through 3, but apparently it is. Program 3.
Okay. I still doesn't play in here though. I don't think. Yeah. Trey says nope on the echo. So
Awesome. Thanks, guys. All the stories I can share now.
yeah, now we're all over you. We just have to listen. Yeah, I guess it's an echo if you've got your laptop on. I got my laptop on. So yeah, we got everything.
But didn't it used to be where Jen pressed that button and we could hear it in the studio overhead speakers?
Yeah, but we've got our mics on. One day we'll get this all straightened out.
It'll be magical.
Yeah. Got our big. Oh, we need to go back and look here just to get the actual number reminder. And I need to mention this on air that we'll be at Village Idiot. So it was 26-19. No, Trey. Again, I'm going entirely off of the OU Insider. I have no sources on this. Oh, Robin, go educate the kids today. Our number 2, the early game. Bill Gunner, Patrick Pratt, Jen Jensen rolling along here on December 1st. The calendar has officially flipped. I'm assuming all of you out there have gotten the Christmas tree or whatever it may be up and in the house, decorated. The whole house is looking beautiful, I'm sure, just all in the holiday spirit. Patrick, do you guys put up like a Charlie Brown Christmas tree, or how does that work at your house? You got is there something that goes up?
No, we've cut down a tree every year.
Who is we? Is it the roommates or?
Oh no, my current house, I have a little tiny tree that my girlfriend gave me last year.
Okay,
but growing up, we always cut down a real tree. That's probably going to end this year because my parents are in a rental and there's not really a lot of space because they have boxes everywhere. So I think the parents are officially getting on the fake tree train.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't like it. They're not happy about it, but
it's a 1 year kind of.
I mean, they're getting older. My dad doesn't want to. He has a bad bag. He's not going to cut down the tree every year anymore, I don't think, unless we go there to help him.
Only he had a son that could come and get on the ground.
Well, I haven't been able to do it.
That's
actually last year though. I did help cut down the tree last year because we went right after I was home for one of our shows and we went right after the show. But yeah, I just have a little tiny thing.
I've done the cutting down of the tree back. No, that is a Gunner family tradition. I've been going out the Hollow Creek Tree Farm since we were like 5 or 6 out in Gilbert, and they've got a hay ride and free hot chocolate, and they've got the little Christmas tree cakes and everything. And growing up, we would cut down the trees. That's what you'd go and you'd get on the ground and you'd do the whole mess, and it'd take like 3 hours or whatever. Because they got the dull saws that have been left out in the rain for 300.
Bring your own saw.
60. I really should just go to Lowe's and pick up a saw.
And see that right there. That's where I was kind of laughing because I was like, you should bring your own saw, and I thought he doesn't have one, Patrick.
Probably
he
not.
would have to go buy one first.
Well, where I live, I have no yard anymore. I don't have to have yard equipment.
True. That's true.
There's no need for any of the yard equipment anymore.
It's nice to have just a saw, just to have. What if somebody ding dong ditches you and you need to chase the kids around the neighborhood or something like that?
With a saw?
Why not?
So we now know on this program that Jen used to be chased around by an uncle on a lawnmower or tractor, and you apparently were chased around by people in your neighborhood with a saw.
Oh no, I would chase a kid with a saw. It sends a message.
If you need any help disciplining your kids or wanting to scare them, you can email in or you can tweet in or whatever. We will send Patrick Pratt out to your house if your kids they're acting up and you need a little help. Patrick Pratt and his saw will be at your house within the day.
You have a fire pit?
Not a. We're not allowed to have like wood fire pits, propane fire pits.
Okay. So you wouldn't have any.
Fire hazard. Yeah. Fire hazard.
A fire. A
fire, like an
fire is a fire hazard.
Well, like like a log gets loose or something happens. Like propane.
Loose logs.
Propane can be a little bit easier to maintain.
I gotta admit though, I'm kind of flashing back to the days of the lawnmower and my uncle driving and then get closer to me and he flipped the blade on. That was just really fun times.
Can you take a chainsaw to a Christmas tree farm, or is that over the top?
Yeah, it's probably over the top.
Yeah, I don't think, unless you're trying to cut down one of the trees that's like not for sale. I would think that would be, because again, the one we go to has got like a monstrous, I'm not even talking a Clark Griswold tree. This thing's 10 times. It really has got to be a very, very, very old, I would assume 100-year-old tree. I'm not one of those people that can like tell you how old trees are, but I would just assume by size. And I was looking at the trunk as I walked around it the other day, just trying to get back to the parking lot. It was massive, but I went and cut down the tree the other day. Took a little while.
Fun.
It was a little bit of effort. 2 years in a row that we've cut one down. We've been purchasing the pre-cut Fraser firs the last few years, but
that's cheating.
Christmas trees have gone up in price.
Yep.
Yes, they have.
Big time.
I think there's been a shortage.
Is there a shortage?
Yeah, I know like 2 years ago for sure there was. And
I think that's partly why my parents are considering going the fake route. I don't know. I hope that they're affordable for me to. I like having a real tree in the house. I don't really like anything else that goes into it. I don't like being out there in the cold. I don't like waiting for the hayride because they take forever to get on. And I don't like carrying the tree. I don't like being covered in sap and just standing around in the cold while they shake it and bag it. And I don't really like having to water it either or set it up or anything, but I just like the smell of it and I like having it around.
So he basically should have an air freshener that just goes psst with the smell, and then he'd be good.
He'd be good to go.
Yeah.
There you go.
I don't like sweeping up the
little needles.
Yeah.
It's all part of the experience.
But it's just nice to have around.
It's all part of the experience. I might even just put a Christmas tree up in July just for funsies. Who knows?
Well, you could put one up and then have it be a holiday tree. So then you could decorate it for 4th of July, and then you do back to school.
So you can't burn your tree when it's done.
Put it in the lake.
Well, I can go to a family member's house. I can't do it on where I live. To answer your
amazing.
question,
They burn incredible. It's great. The best thing for a bonfire by far.
Usually, my father comes and collects like Christmas trees from around because he's got property where he's up. All right, there's enough of your Christmas tree. We'll have more Christmas tree talk over the next 24 days as we get closer. We hope you enjoyed that. 803-404-6100. We got a poll question out on Patrick's Twitter page. You can go there @_Patrick Perrette. The poll question this morning: who makes the college football playoff first? And we're giving you 4 options here: LSU, Southern Cal, Oklahoma, or Florida. Right now, the vote leading with Southern Kids, getting closer. Southern Cal now 34.8% of the vote, Oklahoma at 31%, and LSU 26%. In this poll, we did say after the hires of Brian Kelly, Lincoln Riley, Billy Napier, and reportedly Brent Venables, which program will make the college football playoff first. Again, because I've gotten a few texts and tweets on this, we are going off of OUinsider.com. It's part of the 24/7 Sports Rival. I keep saying 24/7 Sports Rivals, 24/7 Sports Network. Patrick, it's not like we're using some random guy with 250 followers. This is Parker Thun. You can follow their work, OUinsider.com. They're running a constant update. His update from last night on Brent Venables and Oklahoma states that they are working through the red tape, dealing with the attorneys. An high-ranking administrator at OU has told him these things take time. So, again, the insider, take it for what it's worth, at OUinsider.com, OklahomaInsider.com, OUinsider.com, on 247sports.com, is basically still saying that Brent Venables will be announced as the next head football coach at Oklahoma. Time frame unknown on that right now.
I wanted to ask gut feel, like rank the 5 who's going to have the most success, but I'll just say it this way. If any of them are to not, let's say Luke Fickell is the coach at Notre Dame, and those are your 5 choices. Which of those teams, if you had to pick one, does not ever make a college football playoff?
Never makes a college football playoff?
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm thinking Billy Napier.
Yeah, Billy Napier is obviously of this group. Brent Venables is going to be the one guy if
he almost would have to make it next year if we think Oklahoma's going to be in the SEC in 2 years.
Yeah, you got to, and people again were kind of asking and questioning. We don't know what the SEC is going to do, and part of this, Patrick, part of the equation that we're bringing up is we're basing this on a 4-team playoff. Like, college football is evolving. It's crazy, really, if we sit down and we had this discussion and more in depth, how much college football has changed from July 1. I think that's exactly when the name, image, likeness went into effect. Is that right? Was it July 1 or June 1? I think it was July 1, if I'm thinking correctly. But if you think about we'll just back it up to June 1. You go back to Memorial Day weekend, and then you fast forward a little bit, June 1 to where we're at today. Oklahoma and Texas now in the SEC. Name, image, likeness has come along. The expanded playoff discussion, which we'll see if that kind of happens over the next 30 days here before the end of this year. There's a lot of things that are evolving in college football, and very, very quickly. What happens with the non-Power 5 conferences? Again, I'll just point out, I thought Jamie Chadwell would be mentioned a little bit more in some of these job openings, and more like the Virginia Tech job.
Well, did he interview?
I hadn't heard his name come up. I'm not surprised Jamie Chadwell wasn't mentioned for Florida. Obvious for LSU, for
Virginia Tech.
But Virginia Tech, I would have thought.
Agreed.
Virginia Tech, I would have thought maybe a little bit more. We would see if a Cincinnati does come open, if that is a position, because, again, that would be a step up for him. But a lot to work through there. And, again, kind of the evolution of college football right now when you talk about it. And when we put this poll question out, we're thinking of a 4-team playoff, but who knows? Maybe we're going to an 8 or 12-team playoff, and the expanded playoff helps a lot of teams. 803-404-6100. Again, one of the things we'll get into here in the next segment is the quarterback situation. Along with Brent Venables to Oklahoma, one of the big rumors out there that I really don't believe in, but you said, Patrick, somewhere out there, what'd you say, BetMGM? Or
I think it was Bet Online. And I don't even know that makes it a rumor reputable, or more likely. It's just, I think when people think about Spencer Rattler, or say, where's he going to transfer? You immediately try to start making connections. And I guess the connection would just be, okay, well, Lane Kiffin is the hottest offense in the country right now, and his quarterback's going pro, and then there's a connection to Shane Beamer. So we'll just go with those two, and then you start thinking about Arizona.
The one thing for Ole Miss, and we'll get into all this here in just a second, Dylan Gabriel, the Central Florida quarterback, has also entered the transfer portal. And a lot of rumors that he could end up heading to Ole Miss and being their next quarterback. So we'll cover a lot of the quarterback situation here. If you want to weigh in again, 803-404-6100. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game. Maybe they might have just given it to Ryan Brewer because I know he was in yesterday. Yeah, Craig, I think Chadwell would look at Cincinnati, but I don't think Cincinnati would look at Chadwell. I mean, it's just kind of – I think people want to see him do more over the next few years because a lot of people credit Grayson McCall with his success at Coastal.
Why would – I mean, unless Cincinnati can't get Marcus Freeman.
There's a lot of people starting to – well, there's a lot of people think that
he's going to be the Notre Dame coach.
Just promote Marcus Freeman.
Yeah.
I was looking to see. LSU does have a 5-star quarterback already committed. Walker Howard.
Yeah.
I don't think Jim put on me. One of you didn't put me in program 3 or something. Rod just weighed in your mic.
I mean, we're all in program. I was hearing you through your computer. It might have just been that Jen's mic was on or something. I don't know.
Yeah, Trey Mark, yeah, I mean, it's supposed to switch over to program 3. But that's fine. You didn't need to hear Jen's weather update.
I think it was just a second late. Or she didn't do it as soon as the...
Yeah. Thank goodness all I was talking about was the coordinator. Of course, that's the beauty of the live stream. We don't go on any of our cussing sprees.
Yeah. It looks like this kid, Walker Howard, who's committed to LSU, his runner-up was Notre Dame. So they should have a good chance of keeping him.
Yeah. I'm sure he'll be happy. He's getting the best of both worlds. No, RL they didn't. They did not have a chance. They were. Oh no, Trey. That's a good point. Patrick does not have his laptop to be on the live stream.
Yeah. I had to come in straight from work. I couldn't.
I actually didn't even think about that.
I couldn't go home and get my laptop today.
We can fix that a little bit.
It was a crazy busy day. I had to leave early too.
We can alter that a little bit.
A little bit. So I could grab the webcam, but I don't think the USB is long enough.
You've got a hot take you want to weigh in with at any point, at any time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. You just need to call 803-978-6654, the 1075 The Game in Twin Peaks Hot Take Hotline, giving you a chance to speak your mind whenever you feel like it. Again, 803-978-6654. It is sponsored by Twin Peaks for the men who never settle. See him down in the Vista, 600 Gervais Street. 803-404-6100. How you can join us this morning. Bill Gunner, Patrick Perrett, Jen Jensen. You can also follow along on the Buford Lending live stream as I move the laptop around to make it more convenient for me. Patrick, the quarterback situation at South Carolina. I know everybody's talking about the offensive coordinator situation, and certainly we don't have an answer. If you would have asked me on Sunday morning if we would have an answer by Wednesday afternoon, which is fast approaching, I would have said yes. I thought we would have had more of a definitive answer. We don't. I don't know which is necessarily more important. Having a very good quarterback, I'll stop short of saying great, but a very good quarterback that makes an offensive coordinator look better than he is, or a very good offensive coordinator that makes an average quarterback look better than he is. You mentioned a couple examples when we were talking about the Notre Dame quarterback situation. Matt Flynn was one of them back in the day. I can't remember who his OC was.
For LSU? I don't know.
Yeah. But I think the point being brought up here is if you're South Carolina, we had on Perry Orth yesterday, and the numbers are ridiculous for South Carolina. If you want to point to South Carolina's offense being fairly inept over the last 6 years, you just point at the quarterback situation. 11 starting quarterbacks since the beginning of 2015. Steve Spurrier's last season in Columbia, they opened with Connor Mitch as the starter against North Carolina in Charlotte, Patrick. And since that time, South Carolina has not only had 11 starting quarterbacks, but 5 of them have been true freshmen. Lorenzo Nunez, Brandon McElwain, Jake Bentley, Ryan Helinski, and then obviously last year, Luke Doty. So when people bring up Spencer Rattler, I understand. And you know what? My answer is I'm not crazy about Spencer Rattler. I don't know how you feel about him as a prospect. This was a guy going into the season that was a Heisman. Was it the Heisman? Was he at the forefront? Was he the leader?
The odds-on favorite to be the Heisman winner and the number 1 pick.
And obviously that did not come to fruition, and now he's in the transfer portal. Yeah, I'm probably of the opinion you take him if he wants to come. I don't think he is coming to South Carolina. I don't care what the Bet Online odds say about South Carolina being second there. But I think at the end of the day, South Carolina, Jason Brown showed you maybe that with a little bit of development, he might be a quarterback that you could use for next year. Luke Doty has certainly now been in the system long enough that if he can stay healthy, you can hope he can make strides. Colton Gauthier is a guy who I'm glad they haven't played this year. They finally allowed, first time I can remember since 2018 that South Carolina has not played a true freshman quarterback in a year. 2019 obviously was Ryan Helinski. 2020 was Luke Doty. It's nice to see a guy actually be able to develop. And then you got Braden Davis coming in. I think you have to continue to bring in as many good players at that position to find consistency that you can do.
Is Dylan Gabriel committed to Ole Miss?
That's the expectation. I have not seen anything.
It says on 24/7, just on the transfer portal list, UCF to Ole Miss. Oh, it says 100%.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking through who the quarterbacks are right now. I thought it was interesting what Perry said yesterday was he would bring in a grad transfer, which I think every fan Don't you want the exact opposite?
I don't
You
think
want someone that is going to have a future and can play a couple years for you, right?
No, I think you want a guy that.
I mean, it never works out in the first year as a grad transfer, right?
Well,
I mean, Joe Burrow took 2. He was pretty good, but not great. Coming into after his first year at LSU, people thought he was going to be a 4th round pick, and then he has the best season ever in year 2 when he gets comfortable and is the number 1 pick. Who else was it? That was the year that it was like 3 transfer quarterbacks. It was Kyler Murray. He didn't start his first year at Oklahoma, and was that the Jalen Hurts year?
Hurts was the one that came in and played instantly. Hurts came in and played instantly, didn't win the Heisman. Baker came in, and I think it took 2 years. Kyler Murray took 2 years.
The LSU national championship year, wasn't 3 of the 4 quarterbacks transfers?
Right. The only one that wasn't was Clemson's Trevor Lawrence. You had Justin Fields for Ohio
Justin
State.
Fields, okay.
Trevor Lawrence, and then you had that was Jalen Hurts for Oklahoma.
Yeah.
So look, I
mean, that would be Miles Brennan, right? Does Miles Brennan have 1 year to play? Did we figure that out when we talked about it a couple weeks ago?
Who knows? I'm not being funny. I'm being serious. With the COVID year and with red shirts, it's kind of like I didn't realize Brad Johnson had an extra year of eligibility until he talked about it, I guess 2 weeks ago for South Carolina, the linebacker Brad Johnson. But the bottom line is, I don't think, and I'm with DC on the Buford Lending live stream. He says, no way Spencer Rattler comes here. And I'm with you. I don't think Spencer Rattler is an option at South Carolina. What I do think, because we've already seen at least some report on Twitter, Jack Miller, the transfer from Ohio State, who's in the portal, and he was what was he? He was the number, if you've got his
13 pro-style quarterback, number 9 player in the state of Arizona, 4-star recruit, number 334 national.
Okay, so he's in the transfer portal, and according to Twitter and all the Twitter experts out there, South Carolina has reached out to him. I do think.
Wouldn't you rather have him? I mean, I would rather have him for a variety of reasons. Probably the biggest of which is that Spencer Rattler seems to be not a good guy, locker room guy. I mean, that was the rumors coming out of the Elite 11. NFL coaches said he thinks that he is the greatest thing to ever walk this earth. And there have been stories that, like, NFL scouts and things, people like that have said he's going to have to clean it up because that will not be tolerated. And then he apparently walked right off the field after the comeback against Texas. And then people he had heard that it was not received well, that he just left the field without celebrating with his team. So he put out a tweet saying, "So proud of my guys," or something like that. So,
yeah, they're
off the field seems to be a problem. He seems like he just thinks he is the man, and it's not great. So I don't really want that to be involved with South Carolina at all. So just for that reason, I'd rather have Jack Miller, but also the fact that he probably has more time to play than Spencer Rattler.
One of the other guys that's at least we had mentioned, although he was not in the transfer portal, but he certainly acted like he was heading to the transfer portal. Anthony Richardson, the quarterback at Florida, yesterday putting out a tweet of him doing the Gator Chomp and the Billy Napier slogan, "Scared money doesn't make any money," or whatever it is. So scared money doesn't make money, I believe is what he says, something like that. And the bottom line is it looks like Anthony Richardson. But again, here's the other part of the transfer portal. For a guy like Anthony Richardson, for a guy like Emory Jones, go through the list. We were just talking off air. LSU has a 5-star quarterback, the number 32 player in the country, number 31 player in the country, Walker Howard, committed to them. Patrick, you were pointing out his runner-up in his recruitment. He is from Lafayette, Louisiana, so he's a homegrown kid. Walker Howard, 6'1", 200 pounds, is going to LSU next year. Chose LSU over
Notre Dame.
So he's going to get Brian Kelly. So you've got Max Johnson, you've got Miles Brennan. I think the question actually is a legitimate one for South Carolina fans. 803-404-6100. Do you want a guy, like, is that part of the equation? Do you want a guy with years of eligibility left, or do you just want a guy that can come in, even if he's a 1-year guy, and play quarterback? Miles Brennan.
Miles Brennan is arguably the most proven of any of the transfer quarterbacks right now. Is he not more proven than Spencer Rattler? I mean, I guess Spencer Rattler did play a whole season and was pretty good his first year at Oklahoma, but he got benched last year. Miles Brennan, I mean, he was averaging 300 something yards a game the season that he got hurt 2 years ago. Like, he was playing good football. I don't really know. I mean, what did Spencer Rattler prove other than he's got a ridiculous arm and could put up big numbers in Lincoln Riley's offense?
Yeah, maybe Jason Brown ends up being the
guy.
guy.
Chubba Purdy. That's what I want. That's a great name.
Maybe Spencer Rattler. Maybe Jason Brown's the guy. Maybe Luke Doty steps up. Maybe, who knows? Maybe Colton got the year after a year. I think the point here is, what do you want? What would South Carolina want? I feel like it's certain they're going to take a second quarterback in this class with the transfer portal. I feel like that.
I mean, if you strike out on,
okay, unless they get turned down by everybody.
Well, I mean, if you
guess that's not unrealistic, but
if you get turned down by Spencer Rattler, Miles Brennan, and Jack Miller,
or Dylan Gabriel, you can throw him in because
I mean, if your only option is Charlie Brewer from Baylor and then Utah, do you want him? I don't. Kind of stinks.
Okay, 803-4.
Do you want Brian Maurer or Harrison Bailey? They both stunk at Tennessee.
Yeah. Harrison Bailey would be an interest just because he's a younger kid. Anonymous texter weighs in. Did Dylan Gabriel play for Jeff Lebby at UCF? I don't. He was recruited there. I don't know if he played for Lebby. I think he did, but I know he was recruited there by Jeff Lebby at Central Florida. 803-404-6100. How you can join us this morning. I'll get out to a bunch of these Cool Care Heating and Air text lines, but first let's get to the Love Chevy phone lines. Trey is up first, wants to weigh in on Brent Venables in Clemson. Trey, how you doing this morning?
I'm good, guys. Good to hear from you. Just want to point out two things. One, I think that you got to have a guy that comes and plays quarterback that can develop under the system. Half of our Achilles heel has been putting these guys out way too early. Rest in peace to Brandon McElwain's career. That was real short and sweet and a lot of optimism. But I also think we're going to know Luke Doty's ceiling real quick in the next coming year. And then I'm just really hopeful that Brent Venables can head on out to Norman, because then it's harder for him to hurt us from there. And I am sick and tired of that wizard doing everything he has to make our lives miserable over the last decade or so. I'll leave it at that, and I hope you guys have a great morning.
No problem. Thank you so much for the phone call, Trey.
Everyone agrees that they want Brent Venables to be the head coach. Are Clemson fans? I haven't heard anything really from Clemson fans. Are they concerned? Would a Clemson fan be concerned if Brent Venables takes the Oklahoma job?
Yeah.
I mean, you're not happy about it because you lost your defensive coordinator, but are you thinking, hey, you've done a lot for us, congratulations, Brent Venables deserves this? Or are you starting to freak out? Because Alabama loses a coordinator to become a head coach every year, and Alabama fans are like, okay, on to the next one.
Yeah, but
is that how Clemson fans are feeling? Whoever's next is going to be just as good?
The guy who's coordinating or is the mastermind of the Alabama defense doesn't go anywhere every year. He just keeps on head coaching and eating oatmeal cream pies and Nick Saban.
Well, what about the offense then? They weren't concerned when Lane Kiffin left.
Well, they had Steve Sarkisian step in.
They weren't concerned when Steve Sarkisian left.
They're concerned right now. They're not running the ball. Did you see it was the lowest?
Well, they don't want Bill O'Brien.
Did you see that it was the lowest rushing total, 83 combined yards between Alabama and Auburn in the Iron Bowl last Saturday. Lowest rushing total since, and I think this is right. I saw it last night. I want to say 1947 was the lowest rushing combined, not by one team.
But they didn't
combined
expect it to
rushing
be like
total.
They didn't expect it to be like this. They weren't concerned.
So
when Steve Sarkisian took the Texas job, they just said, okay, we'll get another guy like we always do. Do Clemson fans think that they'll just get another great defensive coordinator, or that they're going to have so much talent because of Dabo that it doesn't even matter who coordinates the defense? Or is this like, wow, this is a terrible omen for us. We're going to be in trouble without Brent Venables.
I think the feeling is, in talking with the friends that I know that are Clemson fans, and yes, I do have Clemson friends that are they're Clemson fans that are friends, but the general feeling is you can't replace Brent Venables. Now, that doesn't mean you can't go hire another really good defensive coordinator. They're going to spend the money to hire one. But is there another Brent Venables out there? There very well may be. He just needs the opportunity. Who is that person? I have no clue. I have zero clue who the person is out there. That would be that person. 803-404-6100. I see a lot of you weighing in on the Cool Care Heating and Air text lines. We will get to those. Alan asks, how many offensive coordinators in the same time frame as quarterbacks since 2015? Patrick, you want to take a guess? Well, I'll give you this. Full-time offensive coordinators, because there's one that was an offensive coordinator for multiple games, G.A. Mangus, so I wasn't counting him in. You want to guess since 2015, how many offensive coordinators for South Carolina?
4,
5.
5.
Spurrier, Roper, McClendon, Bobo, and Satterfield. 5 offensive
I was
coordinators
thinking
answers
Spurrier.
Allen's question. 803-404-6100. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game. Weather is getting colder. Maybe those muscles, those ligaments, those tissues, they're starting to bother you. You're not able to get out and play basketball in the driveway with the kids like you used to be able to. Maybe you're not able to take that long, nice walk with the significant other. You're experiencing some issues and you're not happy about it. That means it's time to call QC Kinetics today and get a free consultation, whether it's your shoulders, your hips, your knees, your ankles, your feet. Maybe it's something with your muscles, your ligaments, or your tissue, and you got inflammation. QC Kinetics is at the forefront of regenerative medicine and can help you get back to living the life you want to live. So if you're tired of constant chronic pain, you're weary from the impact of limited mobility and tired of addictive pain medications, now's the time to call QC Kinetics. 803-281-6860. All consultations are free. No steroids, no opioids, just regenerative medicine from a pain management clinic that is at the forefront of this regenerative medicine cycle. Give them a phone call today, 803-281-6860. Again, all consultations are free. If people are telling you that surgery is the only option, don't listen to that. Call QC Kinetics today, 803-281-6860. They are an absolute game changer. And if you want to get back to living the lifestyle that you have enjoyed in 2022, now is the time to make that resolution and call QC Kinetics today. 803-281-6860. Yeah, Jamie, I think they're going to make the change. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I am not as certain of it as I was a few days ago. Reading these text messages, there's a lot to get to.
Yeah, there are. Dude, I would take Chuba Purdy. I'd take him in a heartbeat. Number 7 dual threat in the country. The number 6 dual threat in the country in the class of 2020 was Evan Prater from Wyoming High School. Wyoming High School, of course, in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Who?
I'm just looking at the list of recruits from Doty's.
He was at Florida State.
Yeah, he put his name in the transfer portal.
Did he?
Mm-hmm.
Does it tell you what day?
November 8th, I think. Or maybe the 7th. I saw an article written about it November 8th.
Some leather pants on there.
But what was that? Yeah, that class was Bryce Young, Hudson Card, and Jaquindon Jackson, both of whom went to Texas. Then Luke Doty, Haynes King, Evan Prater, and Chuba Purdy. Anthony Richardson, number 9.
I kind of figured there was so much to talk about that there was no need to get guests this week, not like we have in the past. I figured it didn't need to be a guest heavy.
We need to get an Oklahoma State guest so I can learn something about Oklahoma State because I still have not seen them play football this year.
Okay, we'll look into that. Oklahoma State guest.
We don't actually have to do that, but I have not seen Oklahoma State play a game at all this year. I literally don't think I've seen more than 5 minutes of them play if I was flipping through ESPN app. Who's playing in the Pac-12 championship?
Oregon and Utah.
Again, figured.
A lot of text messages coming in on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line about the quarterback situation. We're going to get into that here this segment. Again, reminder, Trans-Siberian Orchestra, Wednesday, December 8th, Colonial Life Arena. You can purchase tickets right now on Ticketmaster. A portion of the proceeds will benefit Family Promise of the Midlands, a charity that aims to help families experiencing homelessness in their quest to achieve sustainable independence. Again, Trans-Siberian Orchestra back in town a week from today, Wednesday, December 8th at Colonial Life Arena. You can purchase tickets right now on sale. Go to Ticketmaster.com. 803-404-6100 is how you can join us this morning. A lot of different opinions. Let me roll through some of these here, and then, Patrick, I'll kind of look at you and get your opinion on this. Drew weighing in. Agree with Patrick 100%. Can't have Spencer Rattler's attitude in the locker room. You're building a new culture. Richard weighing in. Spencer Rattler will be a third-round pick at best to me whenever he comes out if he has a decent college career. I think he ends up at LSU. I don't think he ends up there, Richard. Then anonymous texter, don't see a name here. What's the deal with dismissing Jason Brown? Going into a second season with his prior experience isn't enough to show that. Jason, in my opinion, is the QB to go with and develop the others you have. That's followed right by Kaiser, who weighs in. I think Jason Brown is the guy. We need to focus on the offensive line. Another texter weighing in. Not worried about quarterback. I want to see the offensive line and wide receiver studs brought in. Stephen from Blythewood. Jason Brown is not the answer. There's a reason he has no offers. Got another anonymous texter here weighing in who says, we absolutely have to get a quarterback in the portal. We have Braden Davis coming in, but we've got to get a quarterback. Rattler and Jack Miller have to be looked at. Doty, Brown are not the answer. Patrick, I don't know. I will side with the one anonymous texter. Jason Brown, I think, is a legitimate contender and a guy that I don't know how good he can be, or I don't know if he can be the guy in 2022. But what I do think is that South Carolina has to have competition at the quarterback position for whomever the offensive coordinator is next year. Even if Shane Beamer sticks with Marcus Satterfield, which I don't like that idea. I didn't like what I saw this year. It was too discombobulated. It never seemed like some of the plays they ran in some games ever came back. The game plans seemed funky. I didn't like the run game at times. The offense seems a little bit too complicated. I was listening to Ryan Brewer on the halftime show yesterday, and he said the biggest concern you have just as a former player watching games when you look if you're watching the game, and players just look confused in game 12. So my personal opinion is a change needs to be made. But I'm not the head coach. I'm not going to make that call. We're going to just analyze whatever happens. The bottom line is you do have to have a quarterback. And I don't think Luke Doty was ready this year. I think Jason Brown developed. I think both of them going into the offseason, those two alone makes for a fun, good quarterback battle going into spring practice. And that's why, even though Luke Doty can't practice, I think getting bowl eligible was so instrumental in development for this team. It doesn't matter really who the offensive coordinator is right now, because I think Jason Brown just getting extra practice reps against SEC speed. It's faster than the FCS. It's faster than St. Francis. Every rep he can take as the starting quarterback is better for him. And then throw Colton Gauthier in there. That's three guys. That's three guys right there that you can develop competition with. Braden Davis will be here, but let's be honest, he's going to be a true freshman. You hope he's not the answer. If he's the answer, we're going to be sitting here talking about, can South Carolina be bowl eligible again next year?
Maybe you hope he is the answer because you don't feel like any of the options already on the roster are all that great. So if he's better than all of them, why is that a bad thing?
I don't like that. South Carolina, if a true freshman has to be the answer, that's why you go to the transfer portal.
Well, if a true freshman has to be the answer, that just tells you all you need to know about the current options. And right now, based off what we've seen this season, none of them are home runs. If Braden Davis comes in and is better than everyone expected, then that's a good thing.
Yeah, I maybe I don't write him off. I'm certainly not going to write him off, but I think you look at.
I don't think it will happen.
You look at the history of true freshman quarterbacks, and yes, there are some, but even Johnny Manziel, Jameis Winston transfer, generational talents like Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence aren't exactly guys that come around. Sam Howell, I guess you could throw into that generational type guy who came in as a freshman and had an incredible impact right away. Certainly don't want to write off Braden Davis, but I don't see that happening. You go to the transfer portal, and you get that fourth guy. And South Carolina, again, I think maybe the question becomes when you talk about South Carolina hitting the transfer portal for a quarterback is the thing you brought up. Do you want a guy that just comes in and competes for 1 year, a Miles Brennan? I'm going to use, even though, again, I don't think he's an option, but a Spencer Rattler. Spencer Rattler is 1 year and then off to the NFL. He's 1 year and he's off, or else he's transferring again. Spencer Rattler is a 1 year guy. So throw him in there with Miles Brennan. Dylan Gabriel is another guy who's a 1 year guy. Does that factor into, as a fan base, does that factor into your opinion of the transfer? Jack Miller has got multiple years available. Guy that you're
looking at the list right now, and Jack Miller's not that highly recruited.
Was not, yes.
I mean, he's of all the quarterbacks in the country, he was 27. Behind him is Mason Garcia, who is the second best quarterback in Myrtle Beach, and Jalen Suggs, who doesn't even play football. So he's 21 spots behind Luke Doty. Luke Doty was the number 6 quarterback in the country, and there's a lot of names in between him and Jack Miller.
Well, again, you're bringing him in, and
it's good competition, but I don't know. I just think people were just looking at, a 4-star, highly recruited kid out of Ohio State. He'd probably come in and win the job right away. Like, no, not necessarily true. He was actually not as highly touted as Luke Doty. Not even close.
Anonymous texter asks, "Is Luke ready for the spring?" We assume he is. He had foot surgery. He's expected to be. I'm not sure. 803-404-6100. Another anonymous texter out of the 843 says, "We need O-line more than anything. Doesn't matter who's in the backfield if they can't throw or run." I will get into that next. I don't think South Carolina's offensive line situation is great. Okay, we're particularly good. But I think it's serviceable, and I'll explain why. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game. Right now is the time. You're missing out if you're not getting out to Love Chevrolet. I-26 in Harbison between Lowe's and Frankie's Fun Park. The Love Chevrolet Silverados are in stock, and there's still time to go pick yourself up a great Christmas present. Love Chevrolet, your inventory leader. And right now, again, those Silverados back in stock. So if you've been thinking about getting yourself a great Christmas present, go visit Love Chevrolet, I-26 in Harbison between Lowe's and Frankie's Fun Park. What you won't find out there is ridiculous add-on stickers like you see at some dealerships. Love Chevrolet is not suddenly tacking extra add-ons to the price of the new cars to take advantage of the customers during the time of high demand and low supply. At Love Chevrolet, it is business as usual, providing the absolute largest selection, the lowest price guaranteed, and always treating you, their customer, with the utmost respect and integrity. That's exactly why South Carolina's #1 volume Chevy dealer has been doing business for over 60 years. Go see it for yourself. Love Chevrolet, I-26 in Harbison between Lowe's and Frankie's Fun Park, or on the web, lovechevy.com. Get out to Love Chevrolet and find new roads. Nothing substantial, Kelly, on bowl predictions. Nothing that looks like just a bunch of predictions kind of at this point. Nothing where people are getting some information on where the SEC or bowls are leaning.
Chad Morris.
Yeah, the Chad Morris. He's trying to get back involved in the South Carolina. He wants to be an offense coordinator.
Chad Morris has forgotten more about football than I'll ever know, but I disagree with this Chad Morris. You know what? Great quarterbacks make it work. They do. Patrick Mahomes took the Chiefs to the Super Bowl with a garbage offensive line last year.
How have I done on time? I feel like I've actually done fairly well for 3 breaks that over.
You have. You've done very well.
This last texter is a weird fella. He doesn't have that many texts, so I just went back and looked at him, and 3 weeks in a row. It was 3 weeks in a row at the beginning of the season. South Carolina barely won against East Carolina. Good luck against Kentucky. 2 national championships, 5 playoff appearances, and 6 ACC championships. Good luck with Troy. Next text, good luck in Knoxville. He's a Clemson fan. Okay. It's just not true. If we put Tom Brady at quarterback right now, we wouldn't struggle. Tom Brady would be fine with our offensive line.
Yeah, Kelly, I agree. I agree with that. I agree with that. Chuck Stogner is not committed. Everybody just thinks because of his ties to South Carolina that he has committed, but he hasn't. But he may. I mean, it seems like all indications are that he's going to be at South Carolina next year. And certainly that would be big, but he is not actually, at least publicly, committed yet. He just entered the transfer portal, I think yesterday, maybe Monday. I'm not sure. Hope, I think it's a possibility. I think it's less of a possibility after the Clemson game. I guess it kind of depends on how he does in the bowl game. It would make sense for him to come back. Want to let you know, Sunday, we will do our picks contest on Friday. Patrick and I will wrap up championship week with our picks contest. I'm sure Oregon and Utah, Oklahoma State, Baylor, obviously Georgia, Alabama, Michigan, and Iowa, Wake Forest, and Pittsburgh. That's a scintillating ACC championship game.
You can get in there for $6, probably.
Oh, $6
max, right?
If you paid me $6, is it worth it?
No, because I'd have to drive to Charlotte. I'd never go.
That's a good point. You still lose on the gas money. We'll be out at Village Idiot on Sunday morning. Sunday, 12 p.m. South Carolina plays Georgetown. It's a good, fun week, and we haven't talked too much basketball. South Carolina and Coastal Carolina tonight down in Conway. The Gamecocks, Frank Martin, this team's quietly rolling along, 5-1 on the season. They're gelling. They're coming together. The Coastal Carolina tonight, and then a really fun game that Gamecock fans need to be at on Sunday against Georgetown, 2 p.m., Colonial Life Arena. Patrick and I will be at one of the Village Idiots. We'll let you know as I likely, based on the numbers, will have to pay off the picks bet by eating a very spicy pizza with no water. We'll tell you more about that as it comes. Our number 3 is up. We'll continue the quarterback discussion. A lot to get into, and I'll tell you why the offensive line, it's got to improve, no doubt. But there's reason to think that it could be successful next year.
All right, so it looks like the cheapest price for an ACC championship
positivity
ticket on SeatGeek is $40. It might be the cheapest they're allowed to offer. And then to get it in the nosebleeds of the SEC championship is $332. Should try to get a ticket to that this year. No, it's SEC. Because it was awesome going to the LSU game a couple years ago. We could have gotten media passes. Yeah. Their press box is so sick. Oh man, it's unbelievable. Serving unreal pork belly last time. It was so good. I ate so much of it. Is it state championship weekend for high school?
Yeah.
These games are starting too late.
that need to be fixed. But with offensive linemen and South Carolina's current status, landing elite offensive linemen that can come in and make an impact instantaneously, probably not going to happen. So, but we'll get into that. If you want to weigh in on anything you've heard this morning, 803-404-6100. That's how you can join us. We started off the program by putting up a poll question regarding the coaching carousel that's going on and the future of the coaches involved. Patrick has it up on his Twitter page @_Patrick Perrette with 1 T. After the hires of Brian Kelly, Lincoln Riley, Billy Napier, and reportedly Brent Venables, which program will make a college football playoff first? Again, we didn't say win a championship, but make a college football playoff. As the votes have started to roll in, Oklahoma now with 36% of the vote, Southern Cal with 33%, and LSU with 23%. Patrick, in that poll, two things. One, Oklahoma hasn't named Brent Venables their coach. We are basing this off of a report from OUinsider.com. It is on the 24/7 Sports Network. This is not some random person with about 300 Twitter followers putting this out there. This is their insider, their moderator of the boards, Parker Thune, Thune. He's got a picture of himself next to his profile, and he's got a little tag that says staff. So he's not a random person out here just saying, yep, my cousin's sister's boyfriend's uncle's grandmother has heard Brent Venables is coming to Clemson.
It was not John Dixon.
Yeah, not random John.
Contrary to John
guy last
Dixon's
night on Twitter with 233 followers put out some random numbers. Maybe he'll be right. Maybe he knows a realtor in Norman. John Dixon does. But this guy
there actually was a blue check mark that contradicted the tweet about Lincoln Riley's benefits and salary that said, I know the listing agent for Lincoln Riley's houses. This is not true.
Okay. Well, there you go.
That Oklahoma bought both of his houses in Norman for $500,000 over asking.
Yeah, that it did seem a little odd.
Does he actually have two houses in Norman also?
Also didn't make any sense there. Although Will Muschamp had two houses here. Different reasons. He had the lake house and he had the one downtown because if I remember the article correctly, driving from the lake house to downtown was too far for the kids or something. There was a reason. The one downtown closer to whatever school his kids went, Hammond. Hammond. That
would be a heck of a drive.
It was easier. It was easier to stay there. But so maybe Lincoln did have.
I guess that would make
sense.
Who knows? Is Norman near a body of water?
I have zero clue. I have none. We started off hour number one with some geography that you nailed. I'm not even going to participate.
Norman's close to Oklahoma City.
There's got to be a pond.
Maybe he's got a house in the city.
There's got to be a pond close by. But that's the poll question. Again, just to reference, we are basing our Brent Venables updating entirely on OUinsider.com and Parker Thune, not just us speculating and or guessing. So that's what it is kind of right now. But Patrick, in regards to your poll question, the fact that they don't have a coach, and that I feel like they're in the most precarious situation of these three programs. One, they don't have a coach. Two, everybody's transferring out. Three, they're going to the SEC. I don't know if it's next year. I don't know if it's in 2023. I have zero clue when they're going, but I feel like Oklahoma is, of these four programs, is actually the one that's set up for the least amount of success. And I don't have a lot of faith in Billy Napier at Florida, but I feel like Oklahoma, even if they hired a really good coach, is not set up for a lot of success right now.
Just because they're going to the SEC?
Program,
they're a blue blood. I think Billy Napier's the worst. I mean, he's not a bad hire, but he's not. Everyone else thinks they hit a home run. I mean, Southern Cal thinks they hit a grand slam. LSU thinks they hit a home run, and I mean, I don't know what anybody else is really thinking, but Billy Napier's just made sense. He's not some sort of can't miss hire. He's just a guy. He's just a guy that seems to have the right resume, and
he's no
Dan
different.
Mullen was done.
He's no different than a Scott Frost. I
think Scott Frost was a home run.
Well,
Luke Fickell would probably be a home run for Notre Dame right now because he and Scott Frost had proven they could go undefeated. I mean,
when Scott Frost was hired by Nebraska, he was a home run. He was going to bring the glory years back to Nebraska, the Cornhuskers.
What is Billy? He's like Mike Norvell.
I think he's closer to Scott Frost. You look at what he's done. Again, as it stands today on December 1st, and he's still got to coach the Sun Belt Championship game this weekend. Florida hit a home run. They got the guy they wanted. They got the guy. I assume they got the guy. I guess everybody gets the guy they wanted. I did like Lincoln Riley's comment to his athletic director the other day, where he looked at his athletic director. I think his athletic director said, "We got the guy we wanted," and Lincoln Riley kind of smiled and said, "Yeah, even if I was the second or third choice, that's not what you would come out here and tell people that I wasn't your first choice." But yeah, Florida got the guy that I think they wanted, and I think it's a good hire for the Gators. Now, how much success? Florida's level of success, which is why Dan Mullen is currently employed. Florida's level and expectation of success is extremely high, and winning 9 games in Gainesville for 3 straight years will not make that fan base happy. They want SEC Eastern Division championships. They want college football playoff appearances. They want national championships. So that's what makes Florida and Billy Napier so interesting is he ready to accomplish those things? Lincoln Riley at Southern Cal, going out there, I think he's going to recruit extremely well. I think he's going to be able to stop some of those California kids going across the country, coming to Alabama, going to Clemson, going to other spots here in the Southeast. Georgia's another one that's gone to California and landed some really good players. Correct me if I'm wrong. The Ben Bowers, the big-time tight end that is at Georgia now. Brock Bowers. That would explain why when I typed in.
He's from Napa.
Another California kid.
Yep.
That is absolutely lighting it up. And you're right, is from the state of California. He was the 212th player nationally, but certainly, again, a very, very good prospect that Southern Cal or one of those California schools would love to have. So the point being, I think Lincoln Riley will go out there and be able to recruit and keep a lot of kids that have been leaving the state of California to go elsewhere, keep them there and do well with that. That's our poll question. You can go to _Patrick Perrette and vote on that and weigh in there if you like.
I haven't figured out the second of Lincoln Riley's homes, but there is a lake in Norman, Lake Thunderbird, which can be anywhere from 20 minutes to an hour, depending on which side of Lake Thunderbird you're on. So maybe he's got the lake house, but I'm also looking at his current house, which is 2619 Berry Farm Road.
Oh, okay. That's not creepy at all.
Well, there's 36 pictures of it on the listing. It's $2 million. It's very nice. It's got a nice pool and a putting green. He's pretty close to his next door neighbor, though. So I don't think Brent Venables. I think Brent Venables wants a little more land. But you can look at the pictures of the house. It's lovely.
I actually just had messaged a friend of mine who lives in Norman and just was asking him for some scoops. So trying to get that inside.
Let's get into this. Yes,
it's apparently listed right now. So it seems like it's fake news about the buying both houses for $500,000 over ask.
Yeah.
Billy weighs in and says Lincoln was building a new house.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Not just Billy. It's Billy Bob Joe Bob.
He weighs in and says, Lincoln was building a new house. This is
maybe he doesn't like when his family visits. He doesn't want them in his own house.
Very true. When you tune into the early game, this is the exact investigative reporting you have come to expect from our program. Jen's texting real estate agents in.
Actually, he was an old program director of mine and a fellow Butler alum. So he lives in
a private
Norman
investigator in Norman. That's fine. As you see, Jen doing her own.
Sells alcohol. Thank you very much.
Her own level of stalking. Patrick is on the internet stalking. If you need help with your private investigative work, please contact the early game 803-404-6100.
We got nothing to do after 9.
Good point. We have a lot of free time. We just sit around and stalk other football coaches and see what's going on. The other thing we've talked about this morning, Patrick, and talked a lot about is the South Carolina quarterback situation. And Richard weighs in, very long text message here. Jay just says, I'm just going to read the top part. He says, Jason Brown is the obvious choice because he has the intangibles. His feel for the game is great. Even with a bad offensive line, he seems to embrace the moment. Doty has physical tools with the arms and the legs, but doesn't have what it takes between the ears to be a good college quarterback. And then I'm going to stop. There's more to it there, and I appreciate the text message, Richard. But I don't know if we've seen enough from Luke Doty. I think that sometimes, again, we expect these young kids to come in and be these elite level quarterbacks right off the bat, and there certainly are some. There are certainly. I'm trying to think. Is it Hank Bachmeier? Is that right? The kid at Boise State that was a freshman. That's like nobody would point him out as being like, hey, look, there is another freshman that came in and instantly was able to be a success at his school. Sam Howell is another one. Certainly what he's done. But most young quarterbacks need time to develop. And Luke Doty, I think, getting, again, another spring practice. The biggest issue you would have with Luke Doty is it would be, if there is an offensive coordinator change, it would be his third offensive coordinator in 3 years. It would be his third quarterbacks coach in 3 years. I got to think mentally that starts to mess with you. But let me go back to what I've teased twice now. The offensive line for South Carolina. I'm not trying to argue with anybody that this is a great offensive line or even top half of the league offensive line. But I do think with a well-coordinated run game last year, and those are the key words, a well-coordinated run game that had a design and had a plan, they were able to run the football in 2019. In 2019, Mike Bobo, yeah, maybe we didn't like how he ran his passing game, and maybe Colin Hill was a statue back there and only looked at one receiver. But, Patrick, with a well-coordinated run game, South Carolina was effective running the football with a lot of those offensive linemen, minus Sedarius Hutchinson, that we saw this year. This year, it seemed like when they focused in on plays against, Florida was not particularly great. Missouri, South Carolina didn't run the ball great against them. Auburn's run defense is what it is, although Auburn's run defense held Alabama in check last weekend. But we saw South Carolina be able to run the football at times. The pass blocking, certainly very questionable, but I kind of start to put more of that on the schemes. And I'll even go as far as to say some of the coaching, which is Eric Wolford, who I really like, and Greg Atkins. The right guy, I'm not going to say is turning this offensive line into a dancing bears group that just mauls people, but can they be competent? Can they be competent to go out and block and at least get in the way, trip people? At the worst, this year, there were times we just saw guys run right through a gap, which it to me is more confusion than it is talent. There were times it seemed far more confusion. The right guy, the right coordinator, again, when people say, well, we need to get quality offensive linemen in, I think there are 5 guys that are within the program that can be a middle-of-the-pack offensive line that can, against lesser teams, can move the football, and against great teams, well, they can kind of get in the way.
Yeah, and it's not just because the offensive line is not good also does not excuse poor quarterback play. We've gotten texts saying bring in the right quarterback and it doesn't matter because the offensive line is terrible and he's going to be on his back. Well, if the offensive line can just be manageable and you can have a threat in the running game and that'll keep defenses on their heels a little bit. If it's anything reminiscent of what we saw in 2020, you're going to be okay. The quarterback won't be asked to do much. And if he's a big-time quarterback, they elevate everything around them. Like, somebody texted in and said, if we had Tom Brady, it wouldn't matter. Well, yeah, it would, because guys like that, they're so smart. They get the ball out so quickly, and, like, great running backs. Like, Lamar Jackson didn't have an awesome offensive line at Louisville. Like, he was overmatched. They almost beat Clemson. You think the Louisville offensive line wasn't overmatched against Clemson when they almost got the 2-point – was a 2-point conversion that almost won in that game? Mm-hmm. Like, of course they were. Johnny Manziel was running for his life against Alabama, and obviously these are Heisman winners, so they're a little bit different. They stand out. But great quarterbacks can elevate everything. So I agree with you about the offensive line being okay. It's 4 out of the 5 same starters from a 1,000-yard rushing season and from Kevin Harris in 2020. So they can do it. I do think that you need to figure that out, whether it's making a change or just going back to what you did 2 years ago that worked, or learning what Mike Bobo did 2 years ago and trying to copy it. But yeah, it is also more about the quarterback for me. Like, the offensive line is fine, but let's just not say that it doesn't matter who we get at quarterback because the offensive line stinks. Even if they do, it does matter who's at quarterback.
I think there is athleticism problems at tackle. That is a massive, massive issue for South Carolina, with guys being able to get out and block SEC athletic rush-ins. We've seen that. That's an issue, and that is being addressed when you see athletic guys. We talked about the commitment, Patrick, of Ryan Brubaker, who's not going to come in and make an impact right off the bat. He's going to need to gain weight, and he's going to need to get better and get stronger. But he's an athletic kid. Kason Henry, another offensive tackle out of Marietta, Georgia, who chose South Carolina over North Carolina, is an athletic tackle who plays basketball, who does other things, is an athlete that will get out there. Again, not an impact. He's not going to come in and next year knock out another starter because he's going to need to get stronger. He's going to need to gain weight. But what I really do like from or do like from those guys in Grayson Maines as well is there's some athleticism where they can be better. You think back to the South Carolina's offensive lines under Steve Spurrier and with Sean Elliott, there was athleticism there, even with guys like Mike Matulis. You go back to Hutch Eckerson. You kind of go through the years. There has been athletic guys playing tackle. Obviously, Brandon Shell has gone on to have an NFL career. That's a different kind of athleticism. Corey Robinson was the guy that Eric Wolford got committed, who was an athletic guy who could get out there and move and block. And so, and Eric Wolford Corey Robinson was a high 2-star, low 3-star commitment that picked South Carolina over East Carolina. There are some guys, again, there's a lot of offensive linemen on that roster, and they got three more coming in, and you will probably see some transfers. Yesterday, South Carolina having one transfer, Jakari Caldwell, wide receiver, originally from Northwestern, transferring out, or at least entering the transfer portal. I didn't see whether he took a pack of Dr. Pepper with him to present to his next team or not, but the bottom line is he's out, and I think you'll see some more over the next few weeks. But I'll finish with just this: there are guys there who, again, can be a competent offensive line. Now, you want to get into the top half of the league. I don't know if South Carolina can ever recruit the type of players and at the 5 guys across the board of the offensive line to be a top 3 offensive line, top 4 offensive line in the SEC. It's just the players you got to bring in, the elite talent you got to bring in is really difficult.
Well, it seems like I would guess that offensive line is one of the hardest positions to project, just because if you're a 3-star versus a low 3-star or a low 4-star or a high 2-star, whatever, no matter what, you're going to need a lot of physical development. Like, the only people that are coming in ready to start as freshmen are the 5-stars, because you have an Evan Neal who's 6'7" and 330 pounds coming out of high school, and a physical freak and fully matured at age 18, and he's ready to step in and start as a freshman. Like, those kids are not found very often. So most of the players that are offensive linemen are going to need to get into strength and nutrition programs and add a ton of weight. And some of the kids are just big kids that don't have like necessary muscle, so they're building mass. And yeah, it's just largely players are not coming in and playing as freshmen unless they are true 5-stars, complete freaks of nature, and South Carolina will never get those guys.
Yeah, I mean, again, those are kind of like elite big men in college basketball.
On both lines of scrimmage. Like Brian Breesy is a absolute monster who in high school was just throwing kids around because he was a man and they were children.
Yeah, I will say, you say that, you say there can be things that work out. People that are Cam Pringle is down in the Low Country, who looks like a Brandon Shell clone. He's a 2024 prospect. Looks like a very good offensive lineman. Josiah Thompson from Dillon, I think it's Dillon, is another very good. There are some guys coming up in the state where if they're in the state, Brandon Shell was in the state, AJ Can was in this state. You were able to land some guys, but you're right.
Well, that's right. They're going to need to be in the state. You're not going to go get Evan Neal from IMG Academy.
Yeah, you're not. It's going to be hard to go into Florida or Georgia or somewhere and pull a kid that's an elite offensive lineman. 803-404-6100. We'll get out to the Love Chevy phone lines. I see some of you weighing in on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line. Again, a lot there with the offensive line, the quarterback situation, and with the everything going on, just everything with the South Carolina offense. We hadn't even got into wide receivers. Hope asked on the Buford Lending live stream if Josh Vann was going to come back. That's a great question as well. So there's a lot there. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game. Yeah, I'm not feeling particularly great because, we're in that part of the year where, again, we woke up this morning, it was like 40 degrees. This afternoon will be 75 degrees. The good news for me is the heating and air unit in my house is working fabulously. The heat works at night. The air works in the afternoon. That is vital to my lifestyle because I don't like being cold and I don't particularly like being hot. I like my house to be on the right temperature. And that's why a few weeks ago, AAA Heating and Air came out to my house. $59 is all it costs to just get an inspection on your heating and air unit. And if you haven't done it yet, I don't know what else to tell you. It's going to get it feels like it's already been a very cold winter and we're only on December 1st. It's going to get colder. Don't wait around. Don't play with Mother Nature. She always wins. Call AAA Heating and Air today, 803-677-1500. $59 is how much it'll cost for you to get that heating and air unit inspected. And trust me, it'll be a peace of mind thing as well. You'll feel better about the upcoming winter if AAA Heating and Air gets out and inspects your heating and air unit. Just $59 is all it will cost. You just need to tell them, hey, heard it with Bill Gunner on 107.5 The Game. So tell him you heard my name. Tell him you heard it here on 107.5 The Game, $59. And then if something's wrong, don't worry. AAA Heating and Air will take care of you. They'll offer you a $1,500 rebate to buy back your old unit. For those who qualify, no money down, 0% financing on a brand new unit. And then on top of all that, the best part, a 15-year parts and labor warranty to make sure they continue having that heating and air unit working. 803-677-1500. Call AAA Heating and Air today. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you.
Been scouting Doty since the 10th grade. This Richardson text line cracks me up. He gave us the full breakdown of why Stevenson wasn't hitting shots early on and James Reese squaring up with the rim and full breakdowns. Personally, if Thibodeau doesn't go number one, he thinks Sam Howell will be the number one pick because he's going to crush all the QB drills. I don't totally disagree with that, although people are putting Aiden Hutchinson as number one prospect on their big boards now. PFF has made that change. Dane Brugler has made that change. Those people are plugged in. And Aiden Hutchinson from Michigan. Lions going to have the number one pick. Keep the kid at home.
I'm having a hard time. I apologize. There's a lot going on in the live stream, and I appreciate all y'all for participating. Chad, RL, Chuck. I was just trying to go back and follow some of the. Ooh, Steven, I don't know if a lot of people are going to agree with you on 2 years of Satterfield.
You don't have to apologize to the live streamers, though, because they're now just having conversations with each other.
That's what we like. You guys are on there. You just you. I also believe that Bama wins comfortably.
Yeah, I will be salty if Bama wins comfortably because I've just been riding high because I do feel like I was the first person to say that Georgia's winning the national championship. I said it so early.
Patrick's been
so early.
Patrick's been on the Georgia winning the championship.
I wish I knew the first time that I made that call. It was definitely months before the season.
Yeah, it would have been great if we'd have captured that, so you could play it back and tell Bill how smart you are.
back to him. Tell Chad Beamer is not going anywhere. Yeah, Chad, I don't think you have to worry about it. Again, his name's just been mentioned, but most people are following it, thinks it's let's see if there's an update on the Oklahoma board. What is it, 7:30 out in Oklahoma? Out in Norman. Let's see if there's an update. There is a lot going on in this thread. This Parker Thune guy is being pretty definitive in his reporting. I was reading through some of the message boards, 42 pages of message board post.
He needs to change his name. Sounds like you're talking with a lisp when you say his name.
$8:32 on a Wednesday morning, December 1st. The holiday season is upon us. Hopefully, you're heading into the office with a smile, or you're already there with a smile. Don't look like the Grinch either. That's creepy and freaks people out, especially when you do it on December 1st. We get a little worried. Trans-Siberian Orchestra next week, a week from today, December 8th, at Colonial Life Arena. You can go to Ticketmaster.com. Purchase your tickets there. A portion of the proceeds will benefit Family Promise of the Midlands, a charity that aims to help families experiencing homelessness in their quest to achieve sustainable independence. Again, Wednesday, December 8th, Trans-Siberian Orchestra at Colonial Life Arena. A portion of the proceeds from each and every ticket sold will benefit Family Promise of the Midlands, a charity aiming to help families experiencing homelessness in their quest to achieve sustainable independence. Go to Ticketmaster now to purchase your tickets. 803-404-6100. How you can join us this morning. Let's get out to the Love Chevy phone lines. Ray is up this morning. How you doing, Ray?
Hey, how you doing? Let me say this. I understand a lot of people don't like the situation what's going on at USC. And a big part of it is the quarterback. I don't think it's a big problem at quarterback because you have young men there with talent. And everybody's going to have bad games. If you work with what you have, they will get better. A couple years ago, before Steve Spurrier left, the situation was about the same now. And I had a conversation with Heath Klein, and we disagreed because everybody was talking about the Porter. Okay, I mentioned you had a homegrown young man from Myrtle Beach. He took his team to the national championship undefeated as a freshman. And when he went in the portal, South Carolina was 3-9. And I said, well, Eric Golston, why don't you go after him? He has talent. He's a freshman. Well, he would have been a sophomore then. I said, he's got talent. Get a homegrown, bring this young man in. Heath Klein said that wouldn't be fair to the quarterbacks that's here already for him to come in and take over and, try to lead this team. So I understand that coaching changes happen. So now all of a sudden, everybody's on the transfer portal. Bring a quarterback in. Now, do y'all actually think that's fair when you got young men here with talent that just needs to develop more if they stay healthy? What do y'all think about that?
Yeah, I think you got to bring a guy in. And I don't know if you're bringing him in. Look, there's a difference in bringing a guy in as a starter. You don't promise anybody, Ray. I'm with you on that. You don't promise anybody a starting position. You don't go to just hypothetically Miles Brennan or Jack Miller or Spencer Rattler. The same thing. You don't go out and promise a guy and say, hey, you're going to be the starter. I think you got to make very clear, because if a guy's transferring, it's because he lost his start. Very rarely does a guy transfer because he's the starter and just sees an opportunity to go elsewhere. Look at Spencer Rattler. He's not transferring because he had a great year and is a starter and wants to get out of Oklahoma. The same thing with Miles Brennan. He's not transferring because he's a starter. Those guys are going somewhere with the intention of being a starter. And I think you have to be very clear with that guy that you're bringing in. Hey, you're coming in to create competition. You're coming in with the plan of trying to compete, and you win the starting job, Patrick. There's a difference there. That's why I think you bring him in. If Jason Brown, who's going to have a head start, Luke Doty, Colton Gauthier, the three guys that Ray's kind of mentioning, they have a head start on that guy. But right now, Steve Spurrier's best teams were built around competition. They were built around having competition at positions that pushed guys to be their best. And so with all that being said, I think that's the only reason you bring it in right now, is because you don't have a proven guy. You don't promise him the starting job. You just tell him you're coming in to compete. And if you can beat out the other guys, we'll give you a chance.
Yeah. I mean, Spencer Rattler would know that he would win the starting job, right?
Well, I'm assuming that any kid that comes in thinks that they're going to win the starting job. I mean, like I would think most kids nowadays don't go to a school with the assumption of like, yeah, I could be the backup. I'm probably going to be the backup.
What was TJ Finley thinking?
I think he thought he would go in and win the starting job.
He thought that he had a better chance against Bo Nix than he did against Max Johnson.
I don't think he was happy with the situation at LSU. I don't think he liked that was different. I don't think he liked the way he was treated, or didn't like the way that was handled, or whatever may have gone on at that time. I don't think he preferred it and felt a fresh start would be best.
A lot of these people are clearly wrong. Joe Milton obviously thought he was going to win the job at Tennessee. Kind of did. And now he hasn't played since. And is he transferring again? Is he done? Is he done in college? I don't even know what the deal is. So, yeah, I mean, I guess you're not going to guarantee anything, but if Spencer Rattler said straight up, I'm going to go to a place where I'm guaranteed to start. Like, I just want to be a starting quarterback. What do you say? Well, we're not going to guarantee anything, but I mean, you see what we have here, and you can pretty much read between the lines. Just come in and handle your business. And
I think most quarterbacks would look at it and say, hey, they've just played. I don't know how much research goes into it. I've never. Austin, my son, is 9, and I was obviously not a college quarterback or a college football player or a college athlete. But
it's a strong class, though, shaping up to be a strong class.
Of
20
transfer quarterbacks?
No, of like 2040, whatever Austin's going to be.
Oh yeah. We have been paying close attention. We have
2040 was a really bad estimate, more like 2033.
Yeah, 2040. I hope he gets out of school before 20. I hope he gets out of high school before 2040, and he's 9 years old. But the bottom line is, like, I just the mentality of these kids. And look, remember this with the transfer portal, because this is actually kind of important to remember. And you brought up Joe Milton, and Hendon Hooker is obviously what's going on in Tennessee. I'm trying to think of who else maybe around the country fits this mold. But remember what I'm about to say. The transfer portal thing is a one-time free pass.
Yeah.
I don't know where Joe Milton's at in his career, in his academic studies. If he's, say, a junior and is not graduating and is not a grad transfer, he can't just up and transfer and be eligible to play this coming year. You get all these guys. Anthony Richardson, if he'd have transferred, and it doesn't look like he will, maybe he will. Who knows? Remember, there's still a spring practice to go. There's still a spring practice to go for a lot of these guys. And so you get these transfers, and one of the guys we've seen Jack Miller transfer. Who's the other guys up at Kyle McCord and CJ Stroud, and I don't know who Ryan Day.
Ewers.
Well, I was going to say Quinn Ewers.
It's really Kyle McCord who's, well, I don't know. CJ Stroud's going to be the starter next year because he's been playing great. And then it's just Kyle McCord and Quinn Ewers are looking at each other like, oh, do we both just wait because CJ Stroud will start next year? Why would you want to wait? Well, I mean, it could just be the process of, all right, I'll start 1 year and then go pro. Cool. Kyler Murray did it. Won a Heisman, went pro, number 1 pick. Nice. I'll just do the same thing.
Yeah, I was looking to see if Ohio State has picked up another quarterback commitment since Quinn Ewers. But most kids are not Mac Jones. Most kids are not. I don't know if we had to play. Dylan Thompson's a different kid. I got to know him on a personal level, coaching him in basketball a little bit and everything. He's different kid, different mentality. I think Dylan Thompson would have stuck it out, but I'm not sure if in this day and age, Connor Shaw and Dylan Thompson could have coexisted if Dylan Thompson had some of the games he did and then looked around and said, you know what, I can go be a 2-year starter elsewhere and transfer, be eligible to play right away. Playing quarterback in college is entirely different now, and it's going to be interesting because, and I think it's not just interesting for quarterbacks, it's interesting for college coaches trying to have some form of quarterback depth. That picture that's out there of, is it Jalen Hurts, Tua, and Mac Jones all was it warming up for the 20
or you could also go with Derrick Henry, TJ Yeldon, Alvin Kamara, and Kenyon Drake.
Yeah,
same picture.
Again, it's going to be different in the college football world from that standpoint. But do remember that the transfer portal, Amarion Brown is a guy who has got plenty of eligibility left. If he transfers, let's say, because yesterday South Carolina lost a transfer, and there may be more from the wide receiver room. If he transfers, now he's having to sit out a year, and he loses a year of eligibility. That's going to be the next thing is these kids, if you've transferred once and you go somewhere and you lose, you don't win the starting job, you can't go, all right, well, this stinks. I'm on to my next school. I'll go try school number 3 now. It's going to be entirely different here as we move forward. 803-404-6100 is how you can join us. Yeah, anonymous texter says, yeah, transfer portal is like being a free agent in the NFL. But again, it's a one-time deal. It's a one-time deal, and we'll have to kind of, again, see how it plays out, because then after that one time you transfer, it's cool, but you're going to end up sitting on the bench, or if you don't win out, you're in a lot of trouble.
Tyon Evans had a really good year, didn't he? Why is he transferring?
That one's an interesting one.
I'm just looking through the transfer portal right now.
He had 3 100-yard games. I think it was 3. I think the third one he had Missouri and South Carolina. And it might have been 1 before, because in the South Carolina game he got hurt. He hurt his foot, hurt his ankle. I don't remember the exact injury. And after that, he barely played and only had 1 carry, I think, at the end of the year for about 7 yards. And I don't know if there's issues up there. I saw that transfer. I don't know if there's issues. I don't know if he got homesick. I think that's another running back situation. Who knows? Maybe he's from the state of South Carolina. If you're Clemson, is Dabo Swinney now ready to go visit the transfer portal and take some players? And Clemson saw this year what can happen to your running back room with injuries and with guys electing to transfer out instantly. That's another one. Does Clemson say, hey, come on down? Well, you get some carries. We'll get you ready for the NFL. South Carolina, obviously, a lot of people thought he'd end up at South Carolina, but who knows with that. You're looking at the trend. Zach Evans, the number 1 running back from 2 years ago from TCU, back in the transfer portal. He was the weird one, right? That everybody thought he was going to Florida and then like LSU and Georgia. Was Zach Evans that kid? Am I right?
I thought Zach Evans was the one that I thought he was committed to Georgia.
Yeah.
And then he didn't play in the state championship game because he got in a fight with his coach or his team or something like that.
Yeah.
And then didn't end up going to Georgia. And yeah, I think there was word that he might go to Jackson State.
Yeah. So again,
that was just Terrence Lewis. Remember Maryland last year got the number 1 linebacker in the country from Miami, and everyone was really confused.
Yeah, he's transferring.
He had a torn ACL. Just used the Maryland medical facilities for a year because Maryland has a great medical facility, and then now he's transferring.
Yeah, smart move.
He literally just used them for medical care for a year.
Smart move. Who knows? Again,
that's messed up.
Transfer portal.
What? It's good that players can do this year of all years, because with all the ridiculous coaching turnover we've had this year, it would have been prime time for people to say, oh, so the players have to stay loyal to the school, but the coaches can just do whatever they want, huh?
That's a good point.
Now the players can do it too.
Players have got a little bit of leverage as well. 803-404.
Everybody wins but the fans.
6100 is how you can join us this morning. You can also follow along on the Buford Lending live stream as the conversation in there. You do the Buford Lending live stream, a fun place to be. They are kind of holding their own conversation on the live stream going back and forth about Shane Beamer, about the transfer portal, about quarterbacks and needs. Just another place you can go and join in the conversation this morning here on the early game. 107.5 The Game. It's 8:45 on a Wednesday morning. You're listening to the early game here at 107.5 The Game. It is the end of the year, and you might be looking at ways over the next few weeks to cut costs, to save money in 2022. Have you thought about refinancing? Right now is still a golden opportunity, and if you have not gotten in touch with Benji Getzy and Buford Lending, you're kind of missing the boat on this one. It's time to call Buford Lending and Benji Getzy. Why would you call Wall Street? The rates are better on Bay Street. 843-524-2404. Cash out refinancing continuing to dominate the refinancing markets. Consumers are taking advantage of the increasing property values nationwide. You could be one of those people. 843-524-2404. Let Benji and his experienced staff earn your business today. Call them for a free evaluation anytime, day or night. See how much money they can save you and your family. If you're looking to purchase a home, still those interest rates very low. It's a great time to start 2022 in a brand new home or by saving money on your existing mortgage. 843-524-2404. Benji Getzy, Buford Lending. They just want a chance. That's all they're asking. You might go with someone else. That's all right. But give Buford Lending the opportunity to do an evaluation on your current mortgage rates. 843-524-2404. That's Buford Lending and Benji Getzy.
Who was the quarterback that Ray was talking about?
Everett Golson.
Oh, Everett Golson. Oh, so this is way back.
Yeah, his dates and times were a little messed up, but because he said before Spurrier, I was thinking, well, we didn't have this radio station before Spurrier, so okay. But then I understood at least where he was going, and I wasn't sure if he was going down a racist path or not. I wasn't sure where he was going with it. Shador Sanders. Yeah, well, Sanders was just Carlton. Wasn't Sanders just named their league freshman of the year, or maybe even player of the year? I saw where Dion was named coach of the year.
We're talking about Zach Evans, the running back, though, because Zach Evans was lobbying hard for Dion to be the coach at TCU. He would have taken that, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, he might only be there 1 year. His ultimate goal is ending up at Florida State.
Yeah.
But it's going to be hard to, I think, make the jump from Jackson to Florida State.
Probably thought I was trying to get his attention, but we're actually talking about kind of the layout of the room and the ergonomics of it. And he's like, "Do you guys really use Fox Pro over there?" And I said, "No." I said, "Other than I like to have the hotkeys, so that if we have several cuts, you can just hit them instead of scrolling down and hitting." And he's, "Well, I actually have a taller pole that I could put in here so that where the internet computer is there, we have two internet computers, and one could have." That'd be huge. And then he said the OpEx, the little hotkeys on there, he said there's something called Stinger. And he said we could actually have that on there. And so, oh man, that would be great. Because I said, when I'm turning my back and cutting up stuff, I can't see you guys if you're, whatever. He was talking about some ergonomics and whatever. He was asking about podcast page and all that. And then
mentioned some company who's like, oh no, use this company for podcast pages.
Oh, the back end sucks.
But we just need to be on Apple and Spotify.
Well, but he was just talking about linking to the website. And that is a good point about Apple and Spotify. But
I mean, nobody's listening to podcasts on anything but Apple and Spotify.
Right, exactly. And I just saw a post like 18 hours ago that there's going to be a Cumulus podcast network. It's like, oh, whatever. All you need to do is get crap, like I said, on Spotify and Apple.
Because other stations do the same thing. The two DC stations I listen to, they post each hour of the show and then also 4 to 5, 10 to 15 minute highlights.
He said he understood your schedule. You might just want to pop up to his busy day. You might want to just see if you can pop up there after the show and just say, hey, is there a good time to catch you tomorrow? Because he said Thursday, Jim's meeting with him tomorrow. Maybe you can just get something scheduled. That's what our digital content creator.
Well, and that's what, like he was saying that there's something about just recording like entire hours where it would just automatically feed to that or something.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I'm sold on the whole re-listening to the whole hour. Maybe people like to do that.
That's what I do.
You do listen to the whole hour?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, on the podcast, it's really easy to just fast forward through different segments too.
Wednesday, December 8th, Colonial Life Arena. A week from today, Trans-Siberian Orchestra in town. Go to Ticketmaster.com. Purchase your tickets there. A portion of the proceeds will benefit Family Promise of the Midlands, a charity aiming to help families experiencing homelessness in their quest to achieve sustainable independence. Again, next week, a week from today, Trans-Siberian Orchestra. Kick off your holidays the right way with Trans-Siberian Orchestra at Colonial Life Arena next Wednesday night, December 8th. Tickets on sale now. Go to Ticketmaster.com to purchase one of those. Ferrari weighs in with a good example of the transfer portal. Tate Martell, who is trying to, I think, play for all 132 college teams.
Not just play. I mean, he was committed to every team in the country before that.
Yeah, I think it set a record.
How many teams did he play for? 3, right? Ohio State, Miami, and UNLV?
I'm not 100% sure.
But he was committed to about 7 or 8.
He committed to Washington and Texas A&M as well.
Yeah.
He committed to Texas A&M as well. Wesley Bryan, the best golfer on the program, or the best golfing listener on the program.
The best golfer ever from Columbia, South Carolina.
Ooh, Jonathan Bird would take exception to that. Oh, Jonathan Bird would take a little exception to that. I might be leaving out somebody else. Wesley says,
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure that's it.
Fans can enter the transfer portal unlimited amounts of times with no penalty. Good point.
No, there's penalty. You won't be accepted.
Yeah.
You will not be accepted.
Oh, really?
I wouldn't accept it. What? Would you?
The transfer?
Born into it.
Well, I am born into it.
I wasn't born into it. I paid a lot of money to become a South Carolina fan. Still paying a lot of money every month.
RL weighs in on the Buford Lending live stream regarding Tate Martell. 8 years of college down the drain. What do you think? Who knows? Tonight,
I think he's my age.
He might be. Tonight in Conway, South Carolina, a pretty big game. Again, because we've seen South Carolina lose these non-conference games, Patrick, every one is actually a pretty big game. But Georgetown is on deck. After tonight, you get 2 really big games. Georgetown here at Colonial Life Arena on Sunday, Florida State following that one up. And Florida State last night got their doors blown off. This Florida State team is struggling right now, but they got their doors blown off by Purdue. If you're not aware, Purdue number 2 in the country right now, so not exactly like a huge upset. But Purdue last night lighting into Florida State 93-65 there. That game was at Purdue. Florida State will be, the 3rd spot. They're in the hole, I think, is what you say. Coastal Carolina tonight. Win that one, and you've kind of navigated the landmine portion of the non-conference schedule
Mostly, yeah.
really, really well. Georgetown Sunday, Florida State.
You would love to have Princeton back.
You would, but you know what? You've seen these losses occur across the country. Other teams have taken some of them. Last night, Duke blows a 13-point lead. I know it's Ohio State, totally different than Princeton. But we will talk about that game tomorrow. South Carolina, Coastal Carolina, 7 o'clock. You can hear it right here on 107.5 The Game. Thank you for all the interaction today. Live streamers, appreciate you. Text messengers, you guys were fantastic. Phone calls, great as usual. Thank you to each and every one of you. Enjoy the rest of your day. You've been listening to The Early Game, 107.5 The Game.
Beautiful.
Did you see all the details of Brian Kelly's contract?
Not as much as I thought.
Not as much money?
It only looked like to be $10 million.
Up to $10 million. But he's also getting every year they're bowl eligible, which has been 20 years running. He'll get $500,000, and he gets a $500,000 longevity bonus every year. So he just gets an extra $1 million every year.
Okay.
And then if they ever win the SEC, he gets $250,000 added on to every remaining year of the contract. So if LSU won the SEC this year, he would get $250,000 for the next 10 years.
Dang.
And if they won it next year, he'd add $500,000, and if they won it 4 years in a row, he'd get $1 million added to every year of his contract.
Hope we're climbing.
We need to rework our contracts.
908 subscribers today. We added another from yesterday. Each day, we creep a little closer.
That's right.
Have a good day.